495.5 billion. This will include county shareable allocations as well as the usual national government transfers to counties.
In addition, once again, the education sector has been allocated a large percentage of the budget, where the sector has been allocated 781 billion shillings, while the road sector has been allocated 228 billion shillings.
We normally allocate over 30% of our budget to education. Again, this year, we have equally done the same, and this enhancement will be utilized as follows. TSC will receive 406.6 billion. 56.7 billion will go to Higher Education Loans Board. 54.6 billion will go to Free Day Secondary School. 30.0 billion will go to Junior Secondary School and Capitation. 7.7 billion will go for free primary education. 30.9 billion will go for scholarship for university students.
We are hoping that every child, as we go now, will have the chemis, which used to be the nemis. We are hoping, so that capitation is done in the correct way.
Contributing to this proposal, some MPs have welcomed some of the spending proposals in the estimates, an example being the allocation of 3 billion shillings for the benefits of local elders. In addition, the issue of national debt has been raised by the MPs, led by MP Makali Mulu, who argue that the repayment of this debts greatly affects the use of money for development.
The committee approved 3.5 billion for stipends to the village elders. I think this is a right move in the right direction.
If you look at the report which was tabled by the Committee on Public Debt and Privatization, Honorable Speaker, this matter as a country, we need to pay a lot of attention on in terms of how to manage this particular public debt. Looking at the figure, Honorable Speaker, of above 1.1 trillion in terms of borrowing, Honorable Speaker, you realize in terms of consolidated fund services expenditure, Honorable Speaker, it has also moved to about 1.15. And out of that figure, Honorable Speaker, interest alone is 1.11 trillion.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Obaga.
We can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Ruto himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Broadcasting worldwide, SpiceFM. Online, mobile, and on radio. Instagram at SpiceFMKE. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Baba should disown these experts and they say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them they're already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes.
That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Ruto himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Wanasemanga asubuhi, unasemanga habari ya asubuhi.
Jema yako.
Jema too. Ama
Jema too works.
Sindio?
Jema too, yeah.
I'm also Jema.
Jema.
Yes.
Jema is actually someone's name.
Yeah, Jema like Jemima. It's like Jema for short. I don't know, like Jema as in Njema.
Whose daughter is called Jema?
Njema.
Jema, like J.
Jemma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's short for something, I'm sure.
Yeah, I missed something. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
It's the 4th of June.
Please.
Just in case anybody was wondering, we are actually into the month of June. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. According to Gregory.
Yeah, we have 10 days before the new fuel prices.
No.
Just saying we're into the next month and you're counting days.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So for those who are listening, Gregory said.
We're on the 4th. Gregory aside, we're on the 4th of June.
Yeah.
For folks who thought we're still in March.
No, we're not.
We're in June.
In June.
Yeah, just in case somebody's asleep.
Yeah. We're in June because I remember this is the time when we were given the advisories on El Nino.
Yes.
We're in that month, which is like 2 months later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the temperatures have dropped significantly, so this is officially duvet weather.
Yeah.
And anybody who wants to say otherwise, I'm sorry. But this is where we are. And so it's going to be combined with rain.
Yeah.
And then you're going to find people wrapped up to the nines like, Evie, this morning, good morning. Why are you shaking your head? It's just it's inevitable, my dear. Just embrace this thing.
Yeah.
That still the pleas are out from the general public. Public participation. Don't be like Aiden Dwale, who says that we will not ask the citizens. The citizens are demanding to see you. Yeah. Don't be like Aiden Dwale. Don't be like the CSL. Where he says, this is not, we're not asking people.
We're not asking people. We will proceed.
Yeah. We proceed. Public participation be damned. Constitution, those little things, toss them out the window.
We consult you and then you get sick. No, we will proceed.
No, we'll proceed for you to get sick anyway.
No, we'll bring the sick to you.
Where? Proceed. Where have I heard that word? That seems to be a word I hear every day. Proceed. John Bundetich, good morning.
Good morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Evie, good morning. You've said good morning. We can just see your smile. How many teeth do you have? 32. Okay. Joyline, good morning. Mutanu. Proceed. Mutanu is here. Walking, fairy dust and all of those things. Good morning, everybody. Getting into it loud and clear. We have put out a petition that people want to see Evelyn, Joyline, and Mutanu. People want to see the people who make things happen behind the scenes. We are trying. You're trying. We'll see. It seems like it would be easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to have them show up. But, we'll try.
But
the day is coming. Fast approaches.
Exactly.
At 6:15, a very good morning to everybody. Dennis is here, so we can, proceed. And Dennis told us that to occur with you in the Situation Room this Thursday morning, and we're getting into a number of conversations. It's always lovely to then be able to get into this conversation with you. So karibuni sana, as we do. Where, things were said yesterday.
Yeah.
But I want to see I don't know if EVE heard me yesterday, but the Member of Parliament for Suba North constituency is who? Bad girl Millie Odhiambo.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to remember what she asked certain questions about yesterday. This was Nikal. No, so that's not the one we want. There is one. Ngoja kwanza.
For bad girl.
Bad girl Millie asked a couple of questions, and kai imeenda wapi?
Let me tell you.
Yeah?
Kama kuna kitu ilikuja na mail literally. The internet. When you need
the internet to behave itself, it starts doing other things.
When it will not.
Yikes. Okay, so maybe you'll find it later.
Yeah.
Because it seems as though I sent my own things. But anyway, she asked a very simple question. Explain to us exactly what is going on. Don't come and tell us that because our friends, the United States, want to do something, we just give them like that. The entire House yesterday, and at some point, I had to pinch myself because even the leader of the National Assembly, Mutanu, actually said yes.
Yeah.
That statement by the Secretary of State was actually quite arrogant. So it was very interesting to see that those proceedings went on in Parliament the way they did yesterday. We're going to see how that proceeds. But then it was interesting because then at night, when the crazies come out, is when Aiden Dwale now came out and said, you know what, we don't need to ask anybody anything. He even said it in Parliament and then went on to repeat himself at night. So it's all up in the air right now. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's good. This kind of participation, this kind of dialogue, this kind of debate and engagement is very good, so that you don't let people imagine that they can lord things over you, especially when you're in a democratic state.
I think it's also an opportunity for us to see exactly and to know exactly who we're dealing with.
Exactly. You know who you're dealing with.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, this is what I keep saying. Everybody is bound by the law. If someone is blatantly saying we're not going to follow that law, the Constitution they swore to protect and uphold, we know exactly who we are dealing with.
Absolutely. And it was interesting because we also saw that the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly defended this. And I just saw the defending of all of this across board. And I was like, wow, okay, interesting. And then I thought, as I heard arguments through the day, and I thought, you know what? When you defend the indefensible, what you do is that you actually you engage bereft of thought.
Yeah.
And that you park your conscience, you park brain function, and you park critical thinking to the side, and you replace it with bravado and arrogance. Because you know that you are defending the indefensible, but that you cannot defend with logical thought, brain function, or conscience. So you put arrogance and bravado in its place. That's what you see playing out. I'm just saying, if the shoe cap, one of them, if it fits, carry on.
I wonder if you listen to professionals in the medical field speak. Dr. Nyekali yesterday spoke in Parliament, explained how you treat such viral diseases. Everybody has said the same thing. You treat it at the source. You don't export it, you don't import it.
You don't.
But what happens when you see a legal mind? Mimi naelewa katiba.
Operating differently.
Mimi naelewa katiba, but I want now to wear a white coat and talk about medicine and treatment of virus. Yet I'm not a virologist.
It does. Let me tell you what James Nikal said. Listen very carefully. Wait.
Yes, Nikal. Which one? Will people who are sick where they are be transferred to this unit? Speaker, I ask that question because science and international practice is when people are sick of a disease in a pandemic or an epidemic, you treat them where they are. You don't move sick people to a place where there's no disease. I would want a question to that. And Mr. Speaker, let me also say, this agreement does not oblige the government to put an this agreement was general. Yes.
Meskia?
Yes.
Even this agreement that everybody's touting about, it was not about Ebola. It was a general agreement.
Yeah.
So when people are sick, you don't transport them somewhere else where they can potentially infect anybody. This is a doctor who's telling you.
You see, even America is saying the same thing. You treat them where?
Where they are. Why do you move them?
They're moving that to another country. But what essentially they're saying is this disease is better off treated where?
Kule. Exactly.
Anyway.
Happen to Chuko.
It's okay.
And so we can tell you about conversations that we will have today. And as we get into Thursday properly, we're going to start off the conversation at 7 o'clock. The State of the Nation is what we're looking to. Secretary General of the Democratic National Alliance is Dr. Barrack Muluka. He's also a communications consultant. We'll have a conversation with him and we'll also look into some of these things a little bit deeper. And then at 8 o'clock, Evans Ogada, for our Justice Thursday conversation, will lead a conversation around defying the bench. When government ignores court orders, then what happens next? And we'll actually have a number of them that we look into. When those court orders are ignored, what exactly it means when government is essentially ignoring itself. Because remember, the judiciary is not the abandoned stepsister of, it is an arm of government. Yes. Okay? Also, we will then, Boaz Waroko is the Elimubora Working Group Policy Advisor. We're going to be looking into students' unrest. What is behind the tension? 4 more schools were closed yesterday because of, whatever the case may be, unrest. And they said, rather than get to a situation whereby we'll be dealing with injury and loss of life, let's shut down school for an indefinite period of time. So I think between Monday and today, we're looking at about 12 schools that have been closed indefinitely, and folks have been told, just go home first and let's figure it out. Until now, the calls are for, if there's something that's burning, how about we hard stop for a minute and then reset? We don't know what's going to happen today, but I think the number now between Monday and today is 12. And so there's something going on. Yeah. We'll have that conversation with Boaz at 9 o'clock today. Sawa. And of course, we can't go away from mentioning it. The whole homosexuality and lesbianism issue in high schools and what pressure that's causing is an issue. We'll talk about that all at 9 o'clock today. 22 minutes past 6 o'clock, and a very good morning to you, our audience on KTN, Karibu Sana, and those who are listening on your live streams across the nation, the region, and the world, Karibu Sana. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and we're getting into it proper today. So we'll say hello to you in just a minute when Dennis tells us what's happening on the Gold and Cocoa Coast.
Yes, the Golden Coast. So we said we want chocolates from Ghana. The lady who's doing that, Asante Sana. Yeah, we need to also agree that West Africa is a very rich region. You know why? If you talk about fuel reserves just in the region, that is West Africa, so talk about Nigeria, Ghana, if all that would be harnessed, perhaps our Strait of Hormuz would be coming from that region. That will be the area that is supplying the entire continent, and then you couple that up with other deposits that we see in Libya, talk about Kenya is also exploring, South Sudan is exploring, Uganda has the same, Tanzania is also in that space. What are we doing with the resources that we have? This is now a conversation not just about Ghana, but how we can take what Kwame Nkrumah said and use that for our betterment today. But let's go to the proverb. The rain wets the leopard's spots, but does not wash them off. The rain wets the leopard's spots, but it does not wash them off.
Oh gosh, there's so many ways that you can look at that, isn't it? That first of all, it's something that might come so heavy is not going to cause any permanent damage. You're just going to have to walk through it. So the leopard spots will never be washed away from the rain. But then also, what is imprinted in you, if you have that thing that you have, there's going to be very little that's going to be able to take it away. If anything, it cannot be taken away. Yeah. Can't be taken away. I would look at it in those two ways.
In those two ways. I'm going to look at it in this way. people never change who they really are. They will try to paint themselves in different way. They will speak different language. They would come beg, shed a tear, cry, do whatever. But whoever they are will always come out.
I can see through what exactly you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand.
You'll preach, you'll pray, fast and pray. Never really changes.
Who you are is who you are, man.
Who you are is who you are.
Yeah.
Oh, but then we went to South Africa, no?
Yeah, we did. Yes.
We chartered a plane?
I'm not sure how we went.
I think we chartered a plane.
Yes.
But anyway, we really never change who we are. Me, I have appetite for fine things.
That's not going to change anytime soon for nobody. Okay, that we've been able to establish.
So regardless how that rain comes down, my appetite for fine things
is going to remain.
Exactly.
So, it's no problem. No apology required. It's all good. Let's say hello to everybody this morning. Now that we've all established that Dennis Aseto is in fine form, a very good morning to you as you get into the Situation Room this morning. And a very good morning to you from Mombasa is what Peter Kiari says. A cat that cares about tomorrow doesn't eat a pregnant rat. Right, because it wants more rats.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Dr. Venvik, good morning to you. Tuning from Chude, Mombasa today. And Jackie Abila says, good morning, Spice. Tunajikaza tukiwa Mombasa. Kaza kabisa, my sister. Or rather, it's Jack, so my brother. Yes, please. Kimiyak. I'm already laughing. But let's go anyway. It is apparent that it has been pushed down our throats and the quarantine deal is being shrouded in secrecy and deal breaking. Stand up because nothing good will come out of the Kenya Kwanzaa admin. Sawa Kimiak, you're right. It's definitely being shoved down your throats and you're being told that you actually don't have a say. So, sit over there in the corner. Vena Karwenji says, good morning, tuned in from Kuwait. Nduh and Aseto, each African leader should ask him or herself, do I have the heart of a slave or the heart of a free man? That's a good question.
Good question.
Very good question. Because it would seem as though the vestiges of a lot of these things are still very, very present in our present day. So it's a good question to ask, and then you can go from there. Melbourne, knock, knock. Who's there? I'll be asking this rhetorical question. Why do we vote? Why do you vote? Why?
Yeah.
Boaz Naliana says, good morning, Team Spice. Ready for the big conversation from Kitale after my wife visited a hospital in Sabatia yesterday, only to be told Shah could only pay 300 per day. Excuse me? Paid the balance by cash. Oh, okay. Because they don't have money, or what was the reason? I'm interested to know.
Javas Bigambo.
Hey, Javas. Hello?
Please.
You have a missed call?
Boaz.
Boaz has a thing to tell you.
Has a thing to tell you.
Salam alaikum from Kilifi. Atieno, good morning. How have you been? Hope you're doing well. Karibu sana this Thursday morning. Jackie Onyango. Now there's a Jackie who's a girl. Good morning, Team Spice. Blessed Thursday it is. Wishing you well, and to you too. Pan-African Kenyan is tuned in from Nairobi. A very good morning to you. Osana Emily says good morning. That attitude of mpende msipende is quite pathetic. It actually is. Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with sovereign people. We're not talking about a sovereign state that presents itself to another sovereign state. We're talking about the people of the country who are the sovereign. I don't know if we get it.
But when these people talk like this, have they surrendered the power that they have?
You know what? I actually think it's worse because I think they do get it.
Yeah.
But they've told you that we don't care. We understand exactly what's supposed to happen. In fact, we say we're bound by the Constitution. We're supposed to be following the law. But we say, you know what? Screw it. I will do what I want.
You know what these people think? You see, when you say the power belongs to the people includes them.
That's the thing. We do understand.
You are part and parcel of these people that form the country Kenya. At the point when you decide to just be a sellout, to just be... Anyway, let's proceed.
Understand anger.
Understand anger.
Wanda, good morning. Nduh and Aseto from Toronto. The US issued a travel advisory for Kenya due to protests, yet they are the cause. They want to hit Kenya's tourism for standing up themselves. Bullying 101. I'm telling you, pro max, my friend.
Let me tell you, take your seek and treat them in your country.
Yeah, first of all, you want to issue a travel advisory, then travel your people there. Travel advisory. You're joking.
Okay.
This is, okay. Peace. Pax Romanus.
The government should also use travel advisories because they're demonstrating their country every other day. issue, we can issue.
Abio.
Yeah.
Samuel TBC says, good morning, guys, tuning from Kuala Lumpur. Good morning to you, Robert Mbogo, tuning from Mombasa. And good morning, guys, says Erica Ward. Good morning to you. Ogle Gel says, good morning. Isakale says, the government insists there's no need to consult Kenyans. That's reassuring. Nothing calms a nervous public quite like being told their opinion is unnecessary, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer Tenny says, good morning, Spice family. Nduh, we December babies are wishing you a happy birthday month. You and Dennis.
Yes.
Son to son. Jimmy Munuthi says, good morning, Spice family. Duale did it. Sifuna has been vindicated. Now Senate had an issue, indeed. Senator for Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna, has told them yesterday, excuse me, that money that is pledged to Kenya, wape TCKD, he puts quarantines, and it's not for lack of land.
Yeah.
It can happen in DR Congo as much as it can happen in
also
Kenya.
has an airport, so they can land.
In fact, these people have put an airport right in the middle of the rainforest that is a landing and takeoff point for anybody who wants to get in and get out of the country. So you can actually do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about secrets that want to be unraveled here.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the international airport. We're talking about a landing that goes right into the forest.
Yeah.
So that people can go and extract and take out. Use it for removing your people.
Yes.
Now we want to go bare knuckle. Let's go.
Yeah. The greatest military. You can walk in, take a military security there and treat your people.
Leave us alone.
Bwana watu wajinga walisha Kenya bwana.
Leomi says, Aidan Wale needs a lesson or two on epidemiology. He has no clue. I don't even think it's that. I think it's just...
I don't think he needs a lesson. He needs to shut up.
Wow, here we go. Okay, it's going to come at some point.
He just needs to.
It was going to come at some point. My Lord.
Nothing good comes out of that man. Sorry.
Christina A says, good morning. Can we as parents push to be connected to CCTV of the entrance of the dormitory where people asleep late night or morning? We can save our kids because surveillance officers were unavailable. I think there's a lot that parents need to demand from schools where their children are going to board. I think that for too long, we've bowed down to the almighty administration when it comes to the boarding of our children, and that we need to be involved in this process. I'm not saying go and make trouble, because also then parents would have the propensity to then show up in school anytime and say, excuse me, I want to see. No. But we're saying from the very beginning, because you are taking my child, in as much as you are teaching and they're learning and you're keeping them in a board. I have a say. That's my child, number one. And that for the safety of all of them. The thing about accountability is that more people that are involved in the process, it is an easier form for accountability. If it's only a few people who guard the thing, then it's very hard to keep people accountable. Parents actually need to rise up here.
I think we also need to bring back the idea of having matrons living in the quarters where the students sleep.
They should. Yep. Stanley Ngashe says, good morning, TSR. Ebola aside, can we picture the conversation between a grade 10 ushering CBE in and a Form 3 phasing out 844? The conflict is deep. Let me tell you, firsthand, grade 3, especially grade 3s, because grade 3s, remember, they're the last 844s. They're the last ones. I beg your pardon, the Form 3s, right now are the last 844. Okay? Yeah. They did the last KCPE, they will do the last Form 4. There is a real conflict between grade 10s and Form 3s. Remember, Form 4s are on their way out. They're done.
They're done.
The first year that grade 10s come in, and this Form 3 that is going to be there for another year, and then they'll be the last ones in this system. The conflict is real. I've seen it. I've heard of it. It is real. Such things need to be taken into consideration, but we want to pretend like nothing is wrong. These are real issues. Let's talk about the issues. We'll talk about some of those with Boaz later today. Bwangi Juma, we see you. Good morning. Pacetime says, you know what we need to do? We need to close all the boarding schools for a month. These children need time out. Maybe that will help. It's a good thought. It really is. David Mangera says, good morning, SpiceFM TSR. It's another day. Shukran Sana. Thanking God. Indeed, we are. Sarah Kilonzo, very good morning to you. Nduh, it's not 12 schools that have been closed so far. There there are many. Some don't announce publicly. The teachers tell the kids to just go home. Yes, Sarah, but what I'm saying is that what we have seen announced publicly is 12. That's what I've said. It's very likely that it's a lot more, but we've seen 12 that have been publicly stated. Sawa. Oshari and Njeri says, good morning, Team Spice, Nduh and Dennis. In case of a contagious disease, you can contain it at its epicenter. You don't actually need to bring it to the rest of the people. Yes, this is one of the things that we do see. It would be great if people then were able to get it right as far as that's concerned. Okay. Daniel Churu says, our courageous and well-informed crew, good morning. I yearn with all my heart a day African nations can have such strong governance structures that things work no matter the people who get in office, even psychopaths. Yes. Wanda says, Dr. Oz says, remember Dr. Oz? Yes. Yeah. Oprah made him famous. He came out yesterday and he says, there are many places we can send folks, but sending them across the world, especially when we're not sure what's going on with them, is probably not the wisest move.
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly.
But sending them to another country where the wisest thing. Oh, stop it, Dr. Oz. We thought even you could do a little better. Hello, Nduh. Good morning, says Milestone. Tell Kenyans to stop worshipping things foreign like Arsenal and American dollars. Okay. Simon Kibiru, we see you. Good morning. Yes, it is. And Rascador says, good morning, Spices. Was listening to Parliament debate yesterday on the Ebola issue, and the statements from Duale and Ishungwa made my heart bleed. Only God knows. Indeed, only him does. Linda, ça va mes amis? Ça va bien, merci à vous. Okay, Andrew Shearer, we see you. Good morning, arise and shine. It's time to pray and ignore distractions. It's true. Sarah Rabat, you say today you have an interview. God ahead, indeed. Wishing you the very best and that you can focus and get it right. Jose Mahinda says, good morning. Good morning to you, Mtuflani. We are not mad enough, indeed. You're not. Those of us who are called too emotional, it's about time for you to get emotional. Megamind says someone needs to remind Duale that Kenya is not a failed state and we are governed by the rule of law, not sheer private mentalities. Vintage Oak says, hi, Nduh and Dennis. Good morning to you. Ayenda Derek says, good morning, Spice. The arrogance with this government is on another level. If we don't win, we will steal. Oh, we don't need to ask anybody. Our questioning Nikelele ya Chura. Lameko Chene says, always said we are on our own. Apathy. The leadership is the problem. Why? What a way to wake up this morning. My goodness. This is what Kenyans are feeling. Perhaps something ought to be done about it. All right. Glad that we can say good morning to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this morning. Let's get into these conversations, shall we? We'll take a quick look at weather and traffic and come back and look into the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, so we're looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning, and we will see through Thursday a high of 23 and a low of 14. It's 15 and partly sunny into Nakuru, and 14 and cloudy into Njeri. 20 and mostly cloudy in Kisumu, and at 17 it's partly sunny in Kakamega. 24 and cloudy in Mombasa. It's also the same in Malindi this morning. At 19, Marsabit is partly sunny, and we're looking into a mostly cloudy Kampala at 19 and 22 and partly sunny in Dar es Salaam. 11 degrees and cloudy in Johannesburg, while at 27 Lagos is cloudy. 14 and cloudy into London, while Beijing is sunny at 24 and it's clear at 21 in New York.
Chilled Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, so it looks like a slow start to the morning, but it's going to get busier as we get into it. The Thika Superhighway has quite some traffic on it this morning. The Pangani Underpass, heavy with traffic. It's coming in all the way from Survey, and it's really heavy as we get into it this morning. So the Thika Superhighway is one to watch today. If you're on it, some patience. In and outbound traffic is also starting to build on Outer Ring. As you get into the CBD, it's not going to be too crazy for now. Southern Bypass looks good. It also looks good coming off Mombasa Road as you head out towards Uhuru Highway, so that looks good. Coming off of Ngong Road, not a problem. And for the first time in a minute, it doesn't look too bad coming off of Naivasha Road. Ooh, I lied. It does. There is some traffic on Naivasha Road as you then head towards Riara Road on this side or going down Gong Road. So that's pretty busy this morning. Let's take it all in stride and see what it looks like. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
people don't know that there's a best battery for your car. And when you don't have exactly the right battery, not all batteries are the same. Make sure you get exactly the right battery for your car with Chloride Exide's super powerful Exide batteries with advanced technology designed for start-stop vehicles. Choose the best for your car. Choose Chloride Exide.
Turn up the heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, at 20 minutes to 7 o'clock, if you're just tuning in, we're going to do a review of the papers today, and we're going to start off with Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. And what's on the front page today? The headlines reading, Fugitive CEC. Okay. Sakaja dragged to court over Kerich's disappearance. You're wondering who Kerich is? Well, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is facing possible jail term, for reportedly helping his finance CEC Charles Kerich evade imprisonment by facilitating his alleged departure to Dubai after a court sentenced him for contempt over the county's failure to pay a 106.7 million shilling debt to a law firm. Whoa, that's a mouthful. Kerich has been sentenced to 3 months in jail, but the order is yet to be effected because he has gone underground. According to the petitioner's lawyers, Sakaja will be in the soup if the court finds that he has a case to answer in the long-running legal battle. Okay, so let's do this again. The county government of Nairobi was supposed to pay lawyers, or rather a client, a law firm, 106.7 million shillings.
Yes.
That didn't happen. The person responsible for this payment is CEC Finance, Charles Kerich.
Yes.
He didn't pay this money, and so the court cited him for this and held him in contempt. Now, contempt of court is
abrogation of the law.
It is. So you either show up or you show up as a guest of the state. Now, this showing up as a guest of the state was for 3 months. Now, this didn't happen, and we also heard that there was braggadocio. That one.
That do unprotected.
That's what he allegedly said. And then didn't show up. They supposedly looked for him. They couldn't find him. Now, according to the client's lawyers, they cannot find him, and he's said to have gone to Dubai. And the person who facilitated his Dubai-ness is the governor of Nairobi, his boss now, Arthur Johnson Sakaja. This is all alleged. Now, if those lawyers take it to court and the court finds that actually, yes, the governor, if he decided, you were supposed to go to Dubai for this work, how about you go now in a time when these other things are happening? It's possible that they might want to ask the governor to also join others.
We're just making it very difficult for the courts, but the courts might be forced now to, whenever they give these orders, the orders are as well issued to immigration department at the airport. This person should not leave this country because there is an order against them, so they should not leave.
I still want to know those people who beat us out, see that they said they're out of the country. Where did they go? Sindo? And where is our chapati machine? I'm taking this thing very seriously. I'll just bring it in randomly until somebody does something about it. 1 million chapatis are supposed to be delivered every day, and we're still here.
You're asking for chapati machine.
I'm just saying, can't just be telling us things and then they don't happen. Panic hits schools as principals resort to closures over unrest. And there it is, Sarah Kilonzi, that story. Kilonzi, I beg your pardon. That this is what schools are resorting to. Rather than us waking up in the morning to find embers still burning and children and others having been injured or unfortunately dead, killed with other... You know what we're going to do? We are going to put a pin in this thing that's about to burst, and we're going to say, go home. And then when things quell, we can come back to school. Because this doesn't look good. Day after day after day, schools are closing. Another school, they decided that they're not going to burn anything, but they're going to stage a walkout, a protest, and run along the road at night. In the morning, they closed the school. Some of the most quote-unquote disciplined schools have been closed. And children have been told, parents have been told 8 a.m. Oh, yeah. Come and collect your children. I beg. And you come, you take them. Don't say,
You know, the most disturbing thing is, even as we're sending these students back home, we're not addressing the problem.
We can be angry at one another, Dennis, and we can decide, okay, you know what? You go over there, I go over there. But if we don't address the thing that is angering us, we have not solved it. Because when we come back, we'll still be
angry.
Thanks.
So beyond closing schools, because then that is what must be done to avoid the arson attacks that we see, or destruction of property. Sour. But are we addressing
the issue?
Are we going to the crux of the matter and saying we need to address the problem?
We'll talk about it, but we're likely to see more of this happen, because if it's like a fever, kind of like Ebola, once it has infected, hello,
very fast.
Get the point.
Yes.
The court has found that there is no evidence that Mbijiwe was abducted. Habeas corpus is what they were talking about yesterday. And they've dismissed the petition seeking the production of missing security analyst Mwende Mbijiwe, who disappeared more than 5 years ago in circumstances his family alleges involved state agents. It's been in court for a hot minute. And yesterday they said, you know what, we can't see that he's been abducted, so let's put this thing to bed. Yikes, his mother cried because then she's saying, how will they find her son? How a 2018 play on fire foretold Utumishi tragedy. There was a play that was done during the national festivals. And
by who again?
Butere girls. This thing that happened was a direct rendition, absolute carbon copy of what that play talked about 8 years ago. Watch the excerpts and it will send a chill down your spine. Watch it if you can.
It will hear crushing down those dreams.
Where?
If we could only learn from what is being portrayed out there.
There's something that's being said.
Something that is
until the kids are even presenting it in a drama at the festivals and telling you this is what's going on in schools. But still, we listen not. MPs push for closure of boarding schools over student disturbances. MPs are saying, no. We can't. We have an opportunity to do something about it. Take the opportunity now, because you don't want to cry more tears later. House Committee slashes executive budget. Oh, where did it go? Looks as though the House Committee might want to make Kenyans smile. Slash it from what to what? MPs have revised Ruto's government's 4.82 trillion national budget for the year 2026-2027, relocating funds away from the presidency to insulate vulnerable programs and fund grassroots projects. So, House allocation was cut to 12.6 billion from 16.3 billion in the current year, reduction of nearly 23%. I don't know that I need to say anything else. Apart from that, well done, House.
You know why I'm not going to clap?
Why?
Because there's that wild card through the supplementary
budget. It might just come back.
That's the wild card, because unless we say if we're passing this budget and no supplementaries will come, then
you say, okay, so they can't come back and say, okay, by the way, we need another 6 billion. The same that you cut it by.
For now, it's good. We'll clap. It's something to discuss, but if that supplementary comes later and we see that the House on the Hill is still asking for more budget allocation,
I'll retract my clap.
Then this is just a PR exercise.
Okay. That's okay, Sawa. We won't listen, Duale tells Ebola plan unstoppable as MPs protest. He said, listen to who for what? Which ones? Kenyans. They don't know what they're talking about. This is a health issue. Kenyans, Apple, not everything is debatable, contestable, protestable. Yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. So you know that Murkomen and who else went to the New York mission to solve new police unit rollout gaps. Okay.
I think Sakaji is there as well.
Still there? Has not come back?
I think I saw him with Murkomen.
They were to go together. They've not come back.
I don't know.
Meeting inakwanga siku tatu, ama? Anyway.
It's a 20-hour flight, kuna jet lag, so anyway.
According to Elias Makua in the opinion pages, from the look of things, this is Kenya's apocalyptic moment where things could actually burn to the ground or be lifted up. It's up to you. So you can look into the opinions in the Standard this morning, and then, of course, you look into the counties. There's a lot going on. Get yourself a copy of the Standard newspaper, a copy of the e-paper. You can subscribe to do that. Yes, sir.
Tunico Daily Nation. And it starts with tensions in school. So we're looking at sudden closure where a wave of disturbance sweeping across the country, leading to deaths of 16 students in Gilgil School. Fire has forced the premature closure of institutions. And multiple motives have been seen where authorities have blamed exam anxiety, unruly students, unresolved grievances, high-handed managers, and copycat cases among reasons for the riots. We also have a nationwide inspection of schools to review safety measures, overcrowding, and foster dialogue between students and teachers to avert conflict. One would say we have commissioned very many agencies and what do you call them? Task forces. If we could only implement the reports that we have. Now, court allows detention for 21 days of 9 students blamed for the Utumishi school fire that killed 16 girls to allow detectives complete investigations. Now, here we see as well parents with their children outside Moi Forces School Lanet after the institution was closed indefinitely yesterday. So this is in Lanet, also in Nakuru County, not far from Tumishi.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've also closed.
They've also closed indefinitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we also see one of the dormitories that was destroyed by a fire at St. Joseph's Seminary School in Molo on Saturday. Again, Molo, Nakuru County. So we're talking about 3 schools in the same county, not far from each other. So what exactly are we seeing? What is happening?
Yeah.
Are we addressing the root cause of the problem? Now, Mr. Duale says protests won't derail us, derail US Ebola deal. He said actually 5 people will not go out there and protest and think they would stop us from setting it up.
Yeah, he actually did.
You saw
say
5
that.
people in Nanyuki.
Yeah, just 5. Only saw 5.
Just 5.
Yeah.
Sindio?
Yeah.
5. Yes. Or Kenya, you're just 5. Now, after recent floods havoc, brace yourself for El Nino. The World Meteorological Organization has cautioned that El Nino is expected in the next 3 months. The alert reinforces last week's forecast by Kenya Meteorological Department, predicting heavy rainfall later in the year. So we've been told in the next, how many months? In the next 3 months, itakuwa hapa. Now, anyway, I've not seen drainages being cleared.
You've not?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay.
Nasema tu kwa sasa. The buildings that were supposed to be cleared of riparian spaces still do exist. El Nino is coming. Now, state Shell's plan to increase power prices. Now, the government has suspended a planned increment in electricity tariff due to take effect on July 1st, citing the need to cushion households and industries from higher energy costs. That was, and the announcement was made yesterday by expert Opio Ndai. Yes.
So, amewafanyia favor.
Amewafanyia favor.
Okay.
Kenya Power walitaka kuongeza rates, but wameambiwa hold your horses, hold your horses. Now, rising sea levels, the science behind it, and expert warning. Study shows all heritage sites assessed along Kenya's coastline fall within high-risk zones, raising concerns over the long-term survival. So we know that water is reclaiming land.
As it would.
As it would. And that is bound to continue if nothing is done.
Mother Nature will always fight back.
Exactly.
Yeah. She will.
All right, so on page 3 is all about El Nino as well. We just talked about it and the preparations that we see. And in page 4 is a further in-depth story on concerns of schools closed amid fresh wave of unrest. And Dual Estate will not consult Kenyans on US Ebola. So these are just stories that have been well articulated deeper into the papers. And in page 8, State faces 1.6 billion shillings bill for illegal civil service purge. So, thousands of public workers were forced out under reform program in 2000. So the government is facing a fresh legal challenge of a 1.6 billion shillings compensation claim by more than 5,000 former civil servants retrenched 26 years ago, and a controversial public service downsizing program. I'm asking, 5,000 people, you've not paid them. How have they survived? What's your responsibility as a government in meeting your obligation? And this does not just go to government, but for many people.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you think these people survive? Because there's a job they did.
They did.
And you
chose. Yes, you did. Use the word,
chose
it's okay.
to get rid of them.
Yes.
And there was an agreement. And you signed on the dotted line. And an agreement is pretty much like law.
It's binding.
It's binding. You failed to do that and you've broken the law. So here we're looking at 1.6 billion shillings from the public coffers for a mistake that you intentionally overlooked. Regardless of which government is there, government is government. Mambo ni mengi, lakini ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Now,
Hey, God.
so there's also here how Gachagua Oster ruling could shape 2027 elections. An analyst cautions that the presidential bid of the former DP could greatly benefit Ruto.
Okay.
Hiyo pia ni maoni imewekwa hapo, and state ready to pay protest victims with 1,800 already identified. Here's the thing. We set up a task force to identify them. Sindio?
Yeah.
But I remember at some point that process did not end because Kenya National Human Rights Commission said they did not have enough funding to complete the process. So when we say we want to pay them, is using what data?
Why do you need data? You can just pull anything out of a hat like a magician that pulls a rabbit and just continue. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Nduh. Nairobi policing unit plan hits a snag. Interior CS and Nairobi governor were leading a team to benchmark with other major cities. The problem we had is that during the presentation on the unit, it looked like any other unit within the police force, but that is not what is actually envisioned. So the plan that we had, it will not be possible.
It cannot?
It will not be possible.
Oh, sorry.
It will not be possible.
Okay.
Sasa
basi warudi.
Ilikuwa ni story.
Si warudi basi.
We're going to check out New York.
New York.
We're going to buy some red bottoms.
Okay.
Top up on our collection of watches and belts. You know.
You're hating.
We gotta also learn from Danny and how he's running New York, you know.
You be hating.
Yeah, I'm just being honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, on the Star, if you're looking for akina mtu fulani na Izakale, if you're looking for what will increase your blood pressure, I'll tell you first of all the story in the middle before I go to the other ones, so that we at least cushion the shock. Karoa backs calls for science-driven pick a flag bearer. Of course, this interesting headline was pulled from the interview that we had with her yesterday.
Yep.
It's always good to see brothers and sisters in the media coming together, collaborating. Absolutely lovely. To see that. And so, of course, they're saying, you know what? She said it yesterday very clearly. Ask the question and then make an informed decision based on the information you have been able to collect from asking the question. It's actually scientific.
Yep.
And that's what she was saying. If you don't have the relevant data that fuels a decision because you went ahead and did the research, and remember, doing research, a form of research is asking questions.
Yeah.
Now, if you are not able to do that, then don't pick anyone. Pick the one that gives you the best answer from this formula that you've been able to apply. That's what she said yesterday. That's what's on the front page of The Star. Then, a man who killed his mum over a fence dispute loses appeal against death sentence. I mean, okay, shocker there. Security, education, 2027 general election dominate the 3 trillion shilling budget. Gotta do an election. It would be nice if the money for education that's been budgeted actually goes to schools.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like a phenomenon, something like a phenomenon. Hey,
Do you know what will get the funds that they actually need? IBC.
Sindo?
Because we must be elected.
Must have an election.
We must be elected, Buana. How do we come back?
Fireworks, twa, twa, twa. We're in Parliament yesterday. As CS Dwali defends the US Ebola facility in Laikipia, everybody and their uncle were out with their best and said, you know what? No, come on. From Dende Nyoro to James Nyekao to Millie Odhiambo to people who you have never seen them speak in Parliament, spoke yesterday and said, stop it. Can't accept this. Now, the one that's going to give Akina Iza palpitations and Mtuflani audit. There's the Auditor General, Nancy Gadongo. She has said that KMC, you know that one? For Nyama, the Kenya Meat Commission, over 1.7 billion shilling unrecorded debt and declining livestock purchases. It's not 7 billion.
You know, that's the same amount the US government has given us.
Yeah.
To set up a quarantine facility.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Up on your tuko, and that's just the front page of the Star. I don't have the strength to look beyond that, but that just gives you a bit of an insight into what it looks like this morning.
How do you have a 1.7 billion unrecorded debt?
Unrecorded and dwindling livestock purchases.
And you wonder why?
See, it's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga. Kenya will not close its borders with neighboring countries despite the Ebola outbreak in Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo. This is according to Health Cabinet Secretary Nduh, who has insisted that the government will instead strengthen monitoring of people entering the country from those countries. Speaking in an interview with a local TV station, Dwale also dismissed pressure to close Kenya's borders, saying the strategies put in place by the government are based on international public health guidelines as well as recommendations from the World Health Organization.
And the most important thing within the Public Health Act is that we don't wait for, we don't do public participation. As you are asking people, what happens if Ebola breaks? As you are waiting for a court ruling, what happens? You know, tomorrow you'll ask me, why are Kenyans dying? So as the lawyers are battling in court, we must make sure as a government, to make sure that we have put in place all the necessary infrastructure required to protect the public health safety of our citizens.
This statement comes after Dwale made it clear that the government does not need to involve the public in the issue of building a quarantine center for Ebola victims in the Laikipia region. Now, according to Dwale, emergency issues are decided based on the level of the existing emergency, saying there was a need for the government to make the decision due to the threat of the virus that has now reached Uganda. However, the government's move has faced strong opposition from lawmakers who want the quarantine center to be built in areas where the disease has been reported and not in the country. This comes as the United States insists that the quarantine center for its citizens in Nanyuki area won't put Kenyans at risk of contracting the deadly virus. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy in the country has stressed that it will ensure that it follows all public health laws to enable Kenyans be protected from Ebola. The Ministry of Energy has withdrawn a proposal to re-evaluate electricity tariffs. Speaking to reporters in Nairobi, Energy Cabinet Secretary Okoh Nduh said the decision was based on extensive consultations between the government and stakeholders in the sector with the aim of protecting citizens from rising electricity costs. Nduh said the government has considered the importance of having a sustainable energy sector without increasing the burden on electricity consumers, including businesses and industries, while also supporting economic growth and employment. He explained that any change in electricity tariffs must go through legal procedures, including technical assessment, stakeholder engagement, and public consultation. This means that the current electricity tariff will continue to apply until it is revised in accordance with the law.
The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum wishes to inform the public that following consultations within government and engagement with key stakeholders in the sector, the retail electricity tariff review application that was submitted on the 31st of March this year by KPLC on behalf of the sector has been withdrawn. Now, this decision reflects the need to buttress a sustainable energy sector while protecting households, businesses, and industries from possible cost escalation.
That's the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante,
we will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. If you're tuning in, it's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock and into the second hour of the Situation Room this Thursday, when we're going to be looking to the state of the nation in just a minute. But then what's the state of your finances and what's the state of what you want to do into the future? Dennis, you've been telling us that there's a way in which we can make sure that even when you're gone to the land, is it yonder, that those that you leave behind can have something to live on.
Yes, because on a daily basis, you work hard, you grind, you hustle to make a better life for you and for your loved ones. But have you ever asked yourself what happens in the event that you're not there?
Yeah.
It's because the future, even tomorrow, God might decide to call you. So the question is not about if, it's about when.
Yeah.
Now, question is, when that happens, what have you done? So here we're talking about Britam Whole Life Plan that then gives you an opportunity, first of all, to pay between 10 years, 15 or 20 years over that period. And you have an option of saving up to 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, all the way to 100 million shillings that then would be used by those that you leave behind. Now, let me just give you some stats on what that means. That means that your beneficiary receive an immediate tax-free cash payout and your coverage increases by 3% every year.
Yeah.
So you're done paying for it, right? So the total amount, say 5 million, continues to increase on 3% basis every year. So if you live to 90, how much will your money have grown to?
Yeah.
So Britam Life is telling you, come, let's have a discussion. Let's talk. Let's see how we are making this a reality. But you have to do something. You have to send an SMS with the name Life and your town. So send Life Nairobi to 21778.
Fantastic.
Alternatively, you can equally just send an SMS, a WhatsApp message, or call 0705 100 100. There will be someone on the other side on the other end of the line who will be sitting down with you to discuss and plan moving forward. Because at Britam we ask the question, it's not about if but when.
But when. Not about if, but when. Okay, and so we get into the state of the nation conversations this morning. And to help us do that, communication strategist as well is Dr. Barrack Muluka. And he joins us this morning. Good morning, Barrack.
Morning, Nduh.
How are you doing?
Great, Dennis.
Salam sana. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I love your outfit.
Yes, I must support you sometime.
Oh, thank you.
This was given to me by Baba.
Which Baba?
Baba himself.
Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes.
Really? I'm not surprised because what he's given you, is this the full outfit? I don't think so. There's other parts of it.
He told me that I can
play around with it.
Yes, because what you're wearing is made up of what is called the agbada.
Yes.
And the agbada is made up of different parts. So this is called in Yoruba, it means voluminous or flowing robes.
Okay.
So you're wearing just part of it this morning. You're not wearing the full thing.
The great commander of the Niger.
Yes, what you're wearing actually right now is called the awoshoke.
Voilà.
Awoshoke part of the agbada. It's fascinating stuff. Dennis is lost. Yeah.
Agbada. I should try that on.
You should.
One of these days, yeah.
You should.
Yeah. When are you going back to Nigeria?
We'll talk. It might shock some people if we say the truth now.
Is she supposed to go back?
Sorry?
Is she supposed
to visit and bring me my. You said it's called Olo?
Agbada, the full outfit, because there's this part, then there's the inside, then there's the cap. All of it makes up the agbada.
Yes. Baba told me that I can don pieces.
You can exactly. That's the thing. You can wear it in pieces. Welcome, Dennis. Interestingly enough, this week has gone to Ghana, and we'd love to hear your interpretation of this one.
And in Ghana, we talk about Kwame Nkrumah and Ghana being the first country in the continent to gain independence. And there's one thing he said, that if we have independence and that does not translate to the other African countries, it would not make sense. talk about the Pan-Africanism at the time, and if we've managed to achieve the dreams that he had. Have we? You'll respond to that. But let's go to the proverb. The rain wets the leopard, but it never washes its spots.
Yeah, the spots are permanent. They are immanent. Not eminent, immanent. You cannot remove them. They are essential, quintessential, and they cannot get out. And no matter what we do about certain situations, certain individuals, certain characters, it is impossible to change them. Some people are unteachable. They are incorrigible. They are decidedly what they are and who they are. And there's nothing you can do about them. They are education proof.
Oh, wow.
Lost cause.
Okay.
Well interpreted.
Indeed. And I have a feeling that might line our conversation getting into the next hour. But we're looking into the state of the nation. And Parliament yesterday was in uproar over a number of things. They said, first of all, this Ebola thing, stop it. With a lot of words, basically said, stop it. And then they said also, this thing for schools where there's unrest, boarding schools, stop it. I mean, because we're getting to a place where things then are ungovernable. And that there's something happening and we don't seem to be listening. While the politics could be playing a back role in all of this right now. There seem to be fundamental issues that need to be dealt with from a nation's point of view. How are you seeing things currently, or are these just bumps in the roads that we'll get over at some point?
Thank you very much, Nduh. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, viewers and listeners. I think if we were to use one word to describe the state of the nation today, we would say anomy. We are in what Wole Soyinka has called the season of anomy, a season when nothing that seems to be right seems to be done, from Wajir to Laikipia to Naivasha to the National Assembly. We are in a season where the sense of belonging is at its lowest, the esprit de corps, as the French would call it. And this is, I think, fundamentally because the William Ruto government has embraced a spirit of impunity, a spirit of hubris, the great pride that comes before the great fall. Hubris, arrogance, we are here. Who are you? A few people may make noise out there. The Cabinet Secretary for Finance is calling the protestations of the citizens noise. I'm saying protestations, not protests. The protestations of the people of Kenya. The voice of the people is the voice of God. You must listen to it, no matter who you may be, no matter how you imagine you got there. The great Sani Abacha thought that he had gotten there through the barrel of the gun and he could do it his own way. And eventually the gods conspired against him and removed him when he thought that he was enjoying his life. Nduh, Chinua Achebe in Things Fall Apart has these masked egugus, and the lead egugu is called Evil Forest, and he asks a certain character there, do you know me? And almost rhetorically he says, I am Evil Forest. I kill a man when his life is at its sweetest, Okay? That's how the divine world works. And when you look at these things, and you might think that we just making some random noises. No, there is a very clear interlinkage in the affairs of men and the gods. Sani Abacha departed when his life was at its sweetest.
Indeed.
And you can find out how he died. Now, the hubris, once it has taken possession of you, you imagine that you are indomitable, that everyone else is useless, that they are stupid, that they have no sense, they have no intelligence, they have no agenda, they have nothing to tell you. You become the Titanic, the unsinkable one that must ultimately sink out of its own energies. And you can see that in the comportment and the pronouncements of this government.
Barrack, then want to ask the question, when you talk about sovereignty of the people and what that means, that in my basic understanding is fact that we are able to make decisions that favor us as a people. That regardless of whoever is there, the most important thing to protect is sovereignty. And that would mean that your people are able to afford life, pretty much. Cost of living should be affordable to everybody. Should be able to just go to school, and that is affordable because the government has played its part. Walk to a hospital, I'm treated. That I am not living in a perpetual experience of pain, turmoil, and confusion. One asks the question then, Barrack, is it lost to them that they are part and parcel of the people of Kenya and that sovereignty belongs to them?
When power has gone to your head, you don't see anything. It tampers with your capacity to hear sense, to absorb wisdom, and to act in a manner that is good, not just for everyone else, but for you as well. When we talk about sovereignty, and I think it's important that we contextualize it within the spirit of Madaraka, because we are still in the Madaraka season. The entire month of June is the month when we reflect about our Madaraka, our self-determination that came to us in June 1963, that we got into that space after the Lancaster House activities, where we eventually secured the right to self-determination, that we are going to make our own decisions about the destiny of our own country, how we rule ourselves, how we behave within our polity. And this coming against 43 years of colonial rule, 1963, and another 15 years of British company rule, 1895 to 1920. Self-determination, our sovereignty, the sovereignty which the Constitution of Kenya says that it rests with the people. The people are supreme, and the Constitution belongs to the people. When the voice of the people says that we do not want this Ebola quarantine facility for Americans, by Americans in our country, then the government must listen, because this is the sovereign voice of the people. You cannot tell us that there is a certain act of parliament that says that you are a minister, and as a minister you are going to take certain decisions regardless of what the people are saying, and that you're going to call the voice of the people random noises. These are not random noises. And that you will even shoot some of those people in Laikipia and they will die. You will bring out the people's military against the people. You bring out the people's police against the people to tear gas them and to beat them up. That is inversion of power, inversion of constitutional authority, because the people have a right. And in this particular case, we are talking about a huge paradox. The paradox of the government of the United States of America stating that we will not admit into America anyone who has been exposed to Ebola. We will find other places that are more suitable for locating Ebola, and we will have those cases attended to in those spaces. And our country is defined by the Americans as the place where we should locate Ebola and deal with it. Never mind that they have got all the technology. I was watching Edwin Duale, not just performing in Parliament, but performing elsewhere on TV, and boasting about that which he calls our technical and capacity. Who in this world has greater technical capacity in anything than the great American empire, the United States of America? They're just saying this is Mark. This one here is far too big for us to handle. We don't know what it is, and it had better be located elsewhere. And we seem to go out of our way, we angle for it, we reach out for it, and we say, bring it here.
But why? And I think that's my question. That what is this thing that hangs over like the hangman's noose? That it's very clear, the danger. It's clear, it's present. That anybody who was applying logic would understand that this is a threat. That Kenya, with other diseases, has been very cautious about how it deals. So what is it? Because it doesn't seem to make sense. What is it beyond the disease? Is there somewhere that Kenya is being held? Is there a conversation that has taken place? Is there a demand that has been made for Kenya to want to insist, well, at least certain parts of the government, that even Americans have questioned their government and said, we are able to take care of people on home soil. Why give it to another nation? So there seems to be something beyond this, because it doesn't make sense otherwise, Barrack.
The saying goes that where there is smoke, there is fire. And I would be tempted to put this to our omnivorous appetite for money. When you have heard of 1.7 billion, we have not been told what this 1.7 billion is going to do. We have not been told whether it's going to the national treasury. We have not been told whether it's what is going to be used to put up this center. And make no mistake, the initial pronouncements from the United States of America were very clear, Marco Rubio, that this is about America. That they are putting up this center, this facility themselves, for themselves, not for anybody else. And therefore, we cannot possibly be told that the 1.7 billion is going towards the construction of that facility. We cannot be told that that facility is a dividend to the Kenyan nation. We must wonder about the individuals, the Kenyan individuals behind this initiative, and what is in it for them. At the individual level, we must be told what it is. We must also interrogate the initial secrecy around it. I expected that during the Madaraka Day address in Wajir, that His Excellency the President was going to pronounce himself on this matter that was troubling the nation. He didn't say anything. I expected that the sequence, and the Constitution is very clear about the need to know, the right to information as a public constitutional right, that I would have expected that the government of Kenya would proactively, even in its own interest, go out to tell Kenyans that in the wake of this scourge in the Great Lakes region, as part of the measures that the government of Kenya is taking, we have entered into dialogue with the government of the United States of America, and we propose to set up a quarantine center within our republic, and float it even as an idea. If you so wanted. And
let's agree what it would look like,
what
kind
it
of
would
thing.
look like. Even affect to be giving the nation the opportunity to hold that conversation around it, and have it even being floated by some of the senior officers in the Ministry of Health. If you want, call them even junior officers, but senior really in rank. The Ministry of Health test the waters, find out what Kenyans are thinking about it, and if you find that that kitchen is too hot, retreat. And retreat in a dignified manner, in the sense that you have left some space at the top for retreat, that the minister could even be the one to retreat, protect the president. In the game of chess, the king is always protected. Send out the pawns to be the ones to say what you think needs to be said. They can be disowned. You can say, no. The director of medical services is saying his own things. Or that was the PS's personal opinion. But what do you say when the president himself
said, I allowed it?
Says, I allowed it. You have exhausted your chances. The king makes only one move. You don't keep on gallivanting across the chessboard. When you are the king, you are protected. The queen is protected. You have the rookies. You have even the bishop who may make a couple of moves. So, what has motivated the king to make all these moves?
They say follow the money, Barrack. But the king spoke, Kenyans have spoken, and from all walks of life. You listen to any doctors in the country, and they say it does not make sense that you would import a disease that has never been recorded in the country. We gave it to the governments that have been there before since the 70s. We've never recorded a single case of Ebola. Here we are, the people have said, no, we don't want this. The doctors have advised you not to do that. The government is for the people, by the people. The government does not exist without the people. But how far removed is the leadership that we have today from the realities on ground about the people it is working for?
In the little volume titled The Trouble with Nigeria, Nigeria is a metaphor for Africa. Today I'm flowing in the
I can see
Nigerian spirit. In the little volume titled The Trouble with Nigeria, and Nigeria being a metaphor for Africa, Chinua Achebe talks of the African president as a person who does not live in his country. And he qualifies. He says, these people are physically in the country, but they are not in the country because they do not know what is happening in the country, what the people are thinking in the country. They are barricaded by notables and grandees who mislead them all the time. And I think it's not just within the African context. It happens elsewhere in the world that the iron-fisted ruler will have around him or around her people who keep on saying that is noise, that is nonsense. That is why Marie Antoinette will stand on the balcony and ask,
why are they making noise?
Why are they making noise? Yeah. And she will be told, they do not have bread. They're protesting because of bread. And she will say, if they don't have bread, why can't they eat cake? And she's not being sarcastic in any way. She does not know what is happening. Somebody who is truthful and who can reach William Ruto should reach him and tell him, Mr. President, they are lying to you. You are seated in a very precarious place. And this Ebola might as well be the last straw that's going to break the camel's back. That you had better listen to the voices of the people, the sovereign voice of the land, and retreat. To retreat is not weakness. Retreat is often tactical. President Moi used to retreat. And, when Moi came to power in this country, I was a young man. I had to beat away from university because I went to university the following year. And a lot of us flattering ourselves with the thinking that we were becoming part of the educated intelligentsia had a certain sense of being almost dismissive, basically on President Moi's modest formal education. But he had a lot of other education, a lot of wisdom. When he called himself professor of politics, it was not because he had gone through the academies and they had given him the degrees and the certification that go with that. It was because he understood how the polity works. The need to recognize that the polity, the nation, is a live thing, and a live thing cannot be bottled up. It must be allowed to ventilate. It must be allowed a bit of pressure to come out. But Ruto and the dwellers of this world are bottling up the country under a lot of pressure. You just need to shake it a little and drop it, and it will explode. So listen to the voice of the people. Drop the hubris. The Americans cannot twist you in this season of Madaraka when we are celebrating 63 years of sovereignty, so that a bag in their citizen whom they cannot take to their shores gets to be domiciled here. We are speaking of a situation where a country has cancelled pre-existing medical agreements, health agreements with Kenya, with Africa, that USAID has gone away, and that the impact of USAID going away is being felt on the bodies of the people of this country. That those were the pre-existing covenants that we need to interrogate. When you've been talking about this thing, has Donald Trump also said he's restoring USAID? Are we going to continue getting the support we had for ARVs, for HIV and other conditions?
Because if we're going to talk about support, it might as well go across the board, isn't it?
Yes, it must go across the board.
Yeah.
That the family planning contraceptives that used to come as part of that package, that the personnel, the healthcare personnel that the United States of America withdrew from Kenya, are they coming back? If it's not, then the agreement that William Ruto has with Donald Trump is the agreement of partnership between a horse and a horse rider, where the United States of America is the horse rider, Kenyans are the horse, Donald Trump is the horse rider, and William Ruto is the horse. And we refuse to have a situation where our president becomes a horse being ridden by the American president.
The abrogation of sovereignty is usually not hidden, that you can tell exactly what's going on. And that where we see, the Duale's counterpart, in this case, Dr. Oz in the US, basically saying, yes, we understand that there's a little bit of a kerfuffle there in Kenya, but we're going to sort that out. And this is in light of the fact that the court, a high court in Kenya, has pronounced itself and has given conservatory orders to say that this will not continue. Now, sometimes you may get it twisted that the judiciary is the abandoned stepsister of government. It isn't. That there are three arms of government who operate at par: the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. Not one is higher than the other. So it seems as though the judiciary is often ignored, like, okay, the little sister is saying something there in the corner, but, let's ignore her and continue doing what we're doing. So much so that another country also is doing the same thing. That if the US court were to pronounce itself on something, other countries would bow in obedience. But this seems to be the opposite. Who has allowed this to happen? Not just by folks in the country, but others outside the country are also seeing that your laws, because you ignore them, can also then be ignored.
Absolutely. And the buck stops at State House. This is William Ruto, His Excellency the President. We put him there to protect our country. The sword that we have given him of the commander-in-chief is not for cutting vegetables. It is for protecting our country, especially against external pressures and influences. This is our space. This is our little corner in the world. This is the landscape that we call home. That you can oppress us anywhere and everywhere else. But when we get into this little corner that we call home, that we know home as home, then we stand tall. And no matter how titanic you may be, how great and powerful you may be, keep your powers to your shores and to your spaces. Issue visa cancellations and bans against us, but leave us alone to enjoy our sovereignty here. And even if you push us to the corner, like you push a rat or a cat, we will fight back. So when you look at the courts, our courts pronouncing themselves, and you say, oh, there's a little fracas, it is insolent, it is patronizing, it is unacceptable. Small we may be, but small in our space, in our little space. Wait for us in your space, and then you can treat us the way you want. So this discourse keeps rotating back to the question of, if they cannot accept their own citizens who have been exposed to Ebola, why should we be the ones to accept? The United States, the global north generally, is very protective of its citizens.
Yep.
A small thing happens somewhere and they issue travel advisories to their citizens. And even now, as we speak, they have issued a travel advisory against Kenya.
Yeah.
And they're issuing the travel advisory against Kenya because of their own exporting of Ebola to our country. You push that thing at us, it gets into our space, and then you tell your people, don't go there. It is now a dangerous place. Be careful how you navigate yourself within that space. Can't we even just see the irony in all this? And I think Kenyans would be willing to stand very solidly behind their president and to defend and protect him were he to be put under any kind of pressure or threat by no matter which powerful nation in the world. If he was doing the right thing for the country, we would all stand up and say, no, Mr. Trump, you can't do this to our president. Kenya is not Venezuela. Hey.
You come and abduct
arrest the president.
You know, when you look at Kenya in our smallness, but the power that we give the president, one would say anyone who has such power would do each and every single thing to protect the people. But one asks the question then, what makes the president forget that? What makes the leadership in general forget that part? What does the American government have over the leadership to a point where you forget your role as leader of a country? Is there more to this than meets the eye?
I don't think that there is a leader anywhere in the world who can force the hand of another leader, sovereign leader in the world, unless first that other leader, the one whose hand is being forced, is conflicted. You must first be conflicted. You have worked yourself into a tight corner that you cannot retreat, that you have made certain concessions. You know, when they invite you to the White House and they cause you to sit in the Oval Office, not just on any seat, but the president's to test it, to feel what it is like. The leather there, and the quality, how so different and superior it is. We don't know what concessions you have given.
Yeah.
We've been asking, for example, that let the details of this covenant that is importing Ebola into our country be made public. And we are being told, no, it is very sensitive. We cannot. We have a right to know.
Yes.
Sensitivity about ourselves as the sovereign voice, the sovereign people of the Republic of Kenya. We have a right to know and let it be published, but it can't and it won't be, because I think there is a conflict, and conflict of interest, I think, is the biggest challenge in government and governance in Kenya and Africa. You get to the high office and you forget immediately that you have gotten there to serve the people, that you are in service. You get there and your teeth become like the teeth of a rodent. You are testing every object in the environment to see whether it is edible. You're finding this one is plastic, this one is ceramic, then this one is sponge. Yes, we can eat this one. You keep on still going back to the ceramics, and you find no, they're too hard. You are depressed, wondering what you could do about your teeth so that they could eat also through the ceramics, and we become a rodent nation. We become huge fat rats that want to eat everything in the landscape. And that being the case, therefore, we start getting compromised. And people will always tell us, you remember this, you remember that. And so we are not there to serve the people.
Is this indicative of what is possible in the future? Because, I mean, if you can do something like this, where the danger is apparent, for, a check of however much, it seems then indicative of what could happen in the future. That, I mean, the highest bidder could come along and then you could, pawn off anything. Is that a danger that Kenya faces, or is this just a one-off situation?
We're probably going to see a lot more of this. One of the things which we have to give this government is that it has got the optics of being a favorite of foreign powers. It has done well with the global north, especially. President Macron was here the other day. We have seen us being favorites in the United States. We are in the good books of the British and many others, of Japan, of China, of Russia. We seem to do very well with them, with Israel. And so we can't tell what we are not being told about all these agreements, covenants, and displays of amity, what really lies at the foundation. But where government then fails to recognize that it needs to carry the people along, it needs to be persuasive, it needs to talk to the people, then the hubris sets in. Chest thumping sets in. The Minister for Health goes to Parliament to lecture Parliament and to thump his chest. He goes to national TV to lecture the nation. The President, His Excellency the President, tells the Kenyan nation, yes, President Trump called me, and when he asked me, I okayed it. It would appear that he did not even allow himself to process the thought. Sometimes when people ask us some very heavy things, we say, can you give me a day or two?
To mull over it, yes.
Yes, to process it, to think over it, to seek counsel, to seek advice. Who among his myriad advisors did President William Ruto consult? Was he advised? How well was he advised? Was Duale asked to talk to his experts in the health ministry to hear their opinion? The various doctors, entities, were they consulted? If they were, why are they protesting now? It's clear that they were not. And I think it can be very difficult to serve in certain offices where decisions are made and then you are sent out there to go and justify them, to apologize, to explain to the public why those things are so right.
Barrack, Kenyans know what they want and what they don't want. And that is a clear departure from what the leadership seemingly thinks the people want. But what then must be done for Kenya to speak in one voice, leadership and the people, to be in the same room and move forward? Is there even room for the leadership to be with the people and speak and listen? Or is this far gone?
I doubt that the present leadership has capacity for retreat. It lacks both the ability and the proclivity to advise itself to retreat. But in the end, leaderships will come and go. And I've been around long enough to know that leaderships come and go. Nduh We are the anthills of the savannah. Grasslands. I told you today I'm flowing the Nigerian spirit. We are the anthills of the savannah grasslands. You know how it happens in the seasons of rains. You talked about the rains.
Yeah.
The rains come and the grass becomes green and lushy, a good verdant landscape, and the tendrils dance to the tune of the winds. And after some time, the sun starts coming out and the grass begins drying up. Then it dries up completely, and the forest fires come naturally. And they burn up the grass, and lo and behold, we see that underneath have been anthills, and the anthills know what has happened to the grass. Then after some time, the rains will come again, and the new grasses will come up. They will sprout and they will grow, and they outgrow the anthills, and the pattern of dancing in the wind begins again. If only the grass could speak to the anthills, the anthills would tell the grass what happened to the grass of the last season. So we are the anthills of the savannah grasslands, and we are telling the current grasslands that you're not the first. In the end, there is people power, and the people power will always prevail.
It's interesting that you say that, because the current president wants to come and have another go at the presidency, and that what we are hearing today from different quarters, interestingly enough, somebody like Martha Karua, who said yesterday that you're going to have to listen to what the people are saying in order for you to have a position, or to be in a position where they will give you another go at it. You would imagine that the current president, if he wants to have another go at it, would be very careful about the things that are done in this period. But that doesn't seem that he's throwing caution to the wind with some of the things that he's pronounced, especially in the recent past. Is that the voice of somebody who's listening to the people, who wants to have their input in terms of how they would maybe bring him back?
His acolytes have told us that it doesn't matter, that we are smarter than Yoweri Museveni, we are smarter than Samia Suluhu, and if Samia Suluhu got 92%, William Ruto is going to get 100%. They're telling us that they have got templates from the neighboring countries in the region. Beyond that, they can go to Northeastern, open up the floodgates, distort history. Distort history, because the things which were being said in Wajir about sessional paper number 10 and trying to incite that part of the country against the rest of the country is historical revisionism that fails to recognize the truth of the history that happened in that part of the country. But maybe that's a conversation for another day. We need to talk about the irredentism that took place there, the Somali nationalism, the Ogaden issues, the shared Barre intervention. Never mind. We are talking about a regime that seems to have given up on the possibility of being elected, and that is now starting to signpost other avenues of retention of power, telling us in broad daylight that we are going to stuff the boxes, maybe so that we can stay away. I don't know whether that's calculated to generate apathy so that we stay away, or maybe with the intent that we will actually stuff the boxes. Now, you see, that also signals illegitimacy for William Ruto, regardless that he wins fairly. The country will believe that the election was stolen. And he should go very cautiously about that, because you are talking about a nation on the tenterhooks. And you could even win, and the people can say that we don't accept you.
Briefly, Barrack, how sick then is the state that Kenya finds itself in when you talk about education, cost of living, security, rule of law, disrespect of court orders, and decisions that clearly expose Kenyans to unease, disease that you've never had?
We remain in a difficult place in the season of anomie, as we said at the beginning. We would hope that the ethical and moral pillars of the nation remain intact, and they will speak to Ruto, and that Ruto may now have the opportunity to prove that he does not just wear an evangelical mask, that when he quotes the Bible, it's not just a facade, it's not just an ecclesiastical mask he wears, and that he can hold a conversation with himself, with his soul, and that he might find a genuinely divine moment when he knows and recognizes that the voice of the people is the voice of God, and listen to that voice.
Well, sometimes conversations open up folks to realities and bare insights, and possibly opening up people's eyes to the realities that are the current state of things, then onto action. Barrack Muluka, thank you for joining us this morning.
Welcome.
And looking forward to a time where people will actually take conversations and engagement that we have and then apply them to current circumstance of where Kenya is at the moment. And this is one to watch in terms of what will happen in the coming days. And this Ebola quarantine center facility is a symptom that we speak of. There are other issues that definitely need to be dealt with.
Thank you.
Dr. Barrack Muluka has joined us this morning. Thank you very much for doing that. Continue with our conversations. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. A mass casualty road traffic incident involving an overturned PSV occurred along the Enterprise Road in industrial area yesterday night opposite the Nairobi prison. Kenya Red Cross emergency response teams who responded to the incident said the injured had been taken to hospital. According to witnesses, the driver was doing a zigzag routine well known by certain matatus which are called Nganya. But sadly, the car overturned, landing on the guys who were hanging on the door. Several deaths have been confirmed. About 1,800 victims of the protests have been identified and their names submitted to the government for compensation. The Kenya National Commission for Human Rights says it has submitted a comprehensive report on those killed and injured during the protests between 2024 and the present. The Commission's Commissioner, Professor Marion Mutugi, says many Kenyans were injured during the protests, stressing that the government has a responsibility to ensure that such human rights violations are addressed. Marion further stressed that every Kenyan has the constitutional right to participate in peaceful protests without being harassed by security agencies. Speaking about the compensation plan for victims, Mutugi noted that the Commission has not received any funds from the government, despite President William Ruto announcing a 2 billion shillings plan to compensate victims. Victims of the protests who attended the meeting expressed disappointment at the continued delay in the compensation, calling on the government to expedite the process. Calm has returned to various communities in Transmara West and Transmara South after a communal conflict erupted in the area. Narok Governor Patrick Nduh has commended security committees for their efforts to ensure that Nkararu, Enoret and Angata Barakoi areas, as well as Lolgoprian on the border of Narok and Migori counties with neighboring Tanzania, are witnessing peace.
Hapa Transmara West na ule wa South, kwa sababu mumejaribu sana kwa mambo ya security. Nafikiri tangu mimi niwe gavana wenyu tumejaribu sana kuhakikisha ya kwamba nyinyi watu ya area hii ya Transmara West na Transmara South mumeweza kukaa na amani. Hata kama tuko na shida kidogo kidogo, tumeweza kutatua zile ambazo zilikuwa pande ya Angata Barikoi, na sasa watu wametulia na tunataka tuendelee na hiyo amani.
Nduh also appealed to various committees living in the county to continue to maintain peace, especially at this time when the 2027 general elections are approaching.
Hata hii ingine ambayo samani tulikuwa na shida kubwa baina ya Syria na Wazingishu. Wakati mliponichagua nimehakikisha ya kwamba nimeweka camp ya JSU pale na imeweza kuleta amani ambayo sasa zile jamii zote mbili wanaendelea na amani. Nataka tu nitoe wito kwa sababu bado tunaendelea kufanya kazi pamoja ya kwamba tuendelee tukae na amani. Tukiwa na amani tunaweza kufanya mambo mengi ya maendeleo.
It should be noted that this areas, including Angata Barikoi area, witnessed communal clashes and resulted in the deaths of several people, a situation that created even more tension and led to the government launching a security operation by organizing security committee meetings led by the commissioners of the areas and community leaders. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubag.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante,
we will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Very good morning to you. 7 minutes after 8 o'clock and into the third hour of the Situation Room this Thursday morning. And we're getting into our Justice Thursday conversation. But before we do that, you say that if I'm grinding, and we're talking about generational wealth. Generational wealth is that which I'm actually able to, rather, real wealth is that which I'm able to pass on to the next generation.
Yes. And that is where we talk about your legacy.
Okay.
Now let's make it even juicier and let's make it better. So now imagine a situation where the legacy that you have set aside is that when your time on the face of the earth comes to an end, your family gets immediate support. You know, and we're talking about you manage to save, and the amount that they're looking at getting is up to 100 million shillings, depending on the plan that Britam has given you. So Britam Whole Life Plan comes with different ranges. So you can start with 5 million and get it all the way to 100 million. And you can also stagger the payments, you know, lipa pole pole until that time when you are done with that. But Nduh, in the event that you fall critically ill, or you get retrenched, your business had a problem and you're no longer able to pay these premiums. Britam is telling you, come, let's have a conversation. You can stop paying, for a period of, say, 6 months. And when you're back to your feet, come, continue with your premium and nothing will be affected. So they're telling you, we are thinking about you in the long run. This whole life thing is not just a story. It is a reality even when you are alive, right? And you're talking about 3% increment in terms of interest during that period. And we're telling you, why haven't you thought about being on this? I, as an ambassador of good life, because the legacy must be maintained. The legacy must be left. You can also be part of it by sending an SMS with the word life and the name of your town to 21778. So that is 21778. So you send live Nairobi 21778. Alternatively, you can equally talk to them on using WhatsApp or call them on 0705 100 100. Somebody will be on the end of the call, will be able to pick your call, talk to you, and guide you through that. Because Britam is asking you, it is not about if, but when.
Absolutely. It's all about when. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. So how about you do it in a way that makes sure that folks will remember you and also continue with that ambassadorial good life. All right. So we're getting into our Healthy Friday, or rather our Justice Thursday conversation today. And we're going to be looking at defying the bench. When government ignores court orders, and unfortunately there is a list. To help us out in this conversation this morning, Wakili Evans Ogada joins us in the hot seat. Good morning, Wakili.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. It's good to be here after a very long while.
Karibu sana.
Discussing an unfortunate topic, but we must do what we must.
Oh, wow. The adjective that you've used is unfortunate. So I guess we already have an idea of where this conversation is going.
Oh, yes.
All right. So we're going to look into some of this stuff. It's going to be a wild ride. So, seatbelts up because you're going to need them. Before we do that, talking about another trip that Dennis has taken around the African continent. As you know, he will talk to us from Ghana, and we'd love to get your interpretation of the proverb.
Yes, we're in Ghana, Gold Coast, the home of cocoa but no chocolate. The home of fuel deposits but no fuel. And when I ask the question, what are you doing with your resources? Perhaps something must be learned from that, because Kwame Nkrumah said that we must take advantage of what it is we have for us to build ourselves. Independence in Ghana must translate to the entire continent. So with all that they have, they must do something about it. But let's go to the proverb. The rain wets the leopard's spots, but it doesn't wash them away.
Whoa. The rain might be heavy, rain on the leopard, but the leopard remains what it is, the feral animal that it is. So no matter what hardships and everything come your way, you will remain what you are.
No matter what.
No matter what. Yes. Well said.
Okay. So, as we get into this conversation then this hour, looking at what it is that we seem to be surrounded over and over and over with is that the courts pronounce themselves, the judiciary as an arm of government, and through the courts pronounces itself on certain matters. But unfortunately, in some cases, it seems to be then, okay, maybe you want to do this, maybe you don't. Now, the most recent one being the conservatory orders that the High Court then gave as the petition that was made by the Katiba Institute to stop this process of this quarantine facility by the United States, I guess a collaboration with the Kenyan government. But it seems as though that too was just, the court said something over there, but we're going to continue. First of all, when you hear that, what does it actually mean? Or actually, before we get to what when a court pronounces itself and gives orders, what does that mean? I know it sounds like a rudimentary question, but we have to ask it because it would appear as though it happens a lot, but nobody seems to do what the court says.
Well, in a constitutional democracy like Kenya, no person, no institution is above the law, at least as we decreed unto ourselves in the year 2010. So respect for court orders is not merely a legal obligation, it is a constitutional imperative. It is essential for the survival of democratic governance in this country. Because the moment we have these increased instances of defiance of court orders, we are breeding a culture of lawlessness. And Kenyans should not think that we are beyond what has been seen in other countries. The history and legacy of Tonton Makut and the lawlessness, the marauding gangs of Haiti started in this manner. The lawlessness we see in parts of West Africa started in this manner, where court orders are delivered. But because you think you are a big man, a big woman, you will not respect them because I am beyond these edicts by the court. And I'm looking at the Standard newspaper before me, and I encourage your listeners and viewers to get a copy today. It's also a typical example of defiance of court orders where somebody was sentenced for contempt. Before you are sentenced for contempt, it means you are given an opportunity to do something. You defied court orders.
Okay.
So instead of complying to come and purge yourself of the contempt, what do? You organize and you'll give us the usual cock and bull story of being off to Dubai. I mean, what are we doing? And these politicians should know that when people lose trust in the law and the institutions of the law, the alternative is we will gain the confidence of carrying our machetes and going to the streets. Is it Roosevelt who told us that, no, it was Eisenhower who told us that we need to remember what it was when we did not have law reigning roost in our country. In 2007, we all remember we were almost on the brink. 1982, for a brief few hours, we did not have law ordering our affairs. And that is where we are going. And you can see that trend tying to the gangs and the goons that politicians are nurturing all over the country. We are igniting the embers.
Okay, many usually say the law is very clear. The law is very clear and we understand it. Court orders is the law. And you look at what the political class is doing. You look at what the police, the ones who are there to ensure that law and order is maintained, are disrespecting court orders. And Kenyans are asking the question, if you do not respect court orders, why should I? Should they be surprised? Should we be surprised that Kenyans are asking those questions today?
We should not be surprised. And I think what the politicians are doing, unfortunately, we have half-wits being the visage of Kenyan politics most of the time. What they are doing is a phenomenon called parallelism in constitutional law. Parallelism is usually where we have a parallel state of affairs created to shadow and undermine the Constitution. And this has a history. If those of you who care to remember, we have the history of a very beautiful constitution written in Germany, pre-Hitler Germany, called the Weimar Constitution. The Weimar Constitution was just as beautiful as ours. Separation of powers, very noble principles, a Bill of Rights. It was touted as a very good constitution. Now, the shelf life of that constitution was a brief few years, for the reason that we had deliberate actions aimed at undermining it that eventually saw to its demise. And after that demise, we had the Third Reich and Adolf Hitler. And all of us know what Hitler did. So when you undermine, the court issues a warrant of arrest for Kerich. You ensure that he is cleverly taken out of Kenya and goes to Dubai, so that you go make clever arguments that, oh, he is beyond the jurisdiction of the court. You have undermined court orders. We have, and unfortunately I've been involved in some of these matters, and it usually annoys me. Martha Karua was awarded compensation by the East African Court of Justice. Not by one court, but the first instance court, and affirmed by the appellate court in Arusha. The government of Kenya has refused to pay that till today. We have the Haiti police deployment matter, where the court was explicit in saying that you cannot deploy these police officers because there are certain requirements by our law and the Constitution that you have not met. And unfortunately, we are seeing foreign countries, and I'm not afraid to say the Americans have been front and center in these two instances, Haiti and the Ebola one. And they are aiding and abetting the undermine of the Kenyan Constitution and our values. And like I always tell them in private, the same way you have your values and principles that you cherish, same way you respect your institutions, please respect Kenyan institutions, respect our values. Because when Justice Nyaundi delivered her order, and I saw my friends at Katiba Institute notify the State Department, the Americans should have had the decency of stopping everything happening in Laikipia.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because they then did give a statement thereafter, actually yesterday. And what they said is that the first line, or maybe the second, was that they were aware of the, in fact, let me just pull that up, because what exactly they said was, in the statement that they gave out, and it came from the State Department, we are aware of the court action filed in Kenya, are actively working with the Kenya government to resolve any objections and communicate our shared objectives to the Kenyan people. Now, that in and of itself is very clear that you can still have your court machinations over here, but there are people that we are going to talk to to kind of sort this out, because that's what they have said. We are aware of this, not that we are going to adhere to what the court has said, or that we're going to comply with what the government will do based on what the court has said, because that kind of language would have been indicative of a desire to actually abide by the rules or the laws of a sovereign state. That did not happen. So if the person that you're dealing with can undermine court of another country, how much more you, who is in a position where things should have been done?
It is a fundamental dignity question for us as Africans, because I imagine a court in the US granting an order, and then the US administration colluding with a foreign country to undermine domestic orders. It will ignite a furore. It will be hammers and tongs. But when it comes from countries in Africa, You've seen the current administration's attitude in terms of countries in the global south. The reference to us has been shithole countries.
Yes.
The contempt, the disdain. I will remind them that the way they expect to be respected, the way they respect their values, please respect our values. Please respect our people. Because Justice Nyaundi and the judiciary in Kenya is as a competent judiciary like any other. So when we are trying to nurture our democracy and nurture our institutions to be effective, they always preach to us the language of the rule of law. Constitutionalism. We need to be serious.
Wakili, that last statement that you've made is very interesting. Can you expect another state to respect orders when you yourself don't respect them? I'll give a couple of examples. 2 years ago, 4 gentlemen were taken from their homes. They were known as the Kitengela Four. The current deputy IG of police, one of them, Masengeli, was asked by court 7 times. 6 times he didn't show up. And the court pronounced itself and said, bring these men. At first it was come and explain, come and explain, come and explain. That happened 5 times.
Yes.
The 6th time it was, bring these men to us dead or alive.
Yes.
That did not happen. Masengeli showed up in court on the 7th time and said, oh, please, I'm very sorry. That afternoon, the 4 men miraculously turned up. Okay, that's one example. The current IG of police, Douglas Kanja, together with the DCI boss, had been summoned to court in yet another disappearance of another man. And the court said, come and tell us where these men are to date, the 4th of June. The DCI boss nor the inspector of police have shown up in court to explain where the gentleman was. He turned up. 41 judges during the Kenyatta administration, they were told, you need to hire 41 judges to fill courts because we don't have enough. That never happened. Teachers' pensions, court orders were given. That never happened. I mean, we could be listing them over and over and over again. But I have to ask, when a court issues orders and they are not adhered to, what is the... is it punishment? What is the pushback?
Yes.
What is the demand after it is very clear that they're not listening? What are you supposed to do? Because there's no way you can expect an other country to respect you in terms of your court orders when you yourself don't adhere to your own.
Well, and unfortunately, I have been involved in most of those cases, the Masengeli case, the judge's appointment case, and I was in the middle of the arrogance by the powers that be towards those court orders. Perhaps the judiciary needs to develop some spine because like the Masengeli case, I argued it. I was in court. And I remember telling the court then that we have run out of ropes to throw at Masengeli. This gentleman has basically flipped the bird at the court. He has shown you his middle finger. He has to face the law like any other person. The rule of law demands that we are equal and subject to the same law. If Nduh had defied the court once, I'm very sure you will have seen the brimstone and fire.
Very fast.
Very fast.
Yes.
But why is it that when it comes to Masengeli and they strut in court with all the splendor, guns, the regal of power, and that is aimed at intimidating and showing the court that sisi ndio wale wase mtadu. And to my disdain, the court dealt with the Masengeli matter in a way that I was not personally happy about. It should have been more firm. And it is my call to the Chief Justice. The time for niceties and quote-unquote diplomacy when court orders are at stake is gone. You are the political head of the judiciary. You need to defend your officers. We as LSK and our presidents, our members have done their bit in terms of trying to defend the rule of law as officers of the court. It is for the Chief Justice to think of drastic measures, including, and in some countries it has happened, when you have this intransigent habit of defying court orders, it can get to drastic measures taken. Like, for example, saying that we are not going to be rendering our services today. The judiciary should say, we are not processing any prisoners, any remandees today. Only for a day, and you'll see the crisis that is in this country. So Martha Koome, Chief Justice, needs to be more firm in terms of demanding accountability and respect. Time for diplomacy and mollycoddling, these half-wits that I spoke about, is gone.
Wakili, when you look at judiciary and the police, all this is in the criminal justice system.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They should work together.
Yes.
Because when the court issues an order or even issues an arrest warrant, the court does not have the power to arrest.
Yes.
Then the police steps in and goes to arrest.
Yes.
Yet you find that those who are working or should work together with the judiciary are the very same ones who are undermining the judiciary. Judiciary finding themselves between the rock and a hard place?
Well,
or rather, how then do they deal with this matter if the institution that you depend on are the ones who are equally not helping you do your job?
You have to understand the legacy of the Kenyan police. It only changed the name from force to service under the Constitution 2010. The forest may be different, but the monkey, the players are still the same. The mentality with the police service has been that of regime protection. In law and under the Constitution, the police service ought to be neutral. If you look at Article 245, for example, the cabinet secretary in charge of internal security only ought to issue policy guidelines.
Yes.
The operational command of the service is supposed to be under IG Kanja. But increasingly you're seeing the minister, the CS in charge of internal security, issue instructions in the nature of command directions. Right now I saw some photos of the CS internal security, a lawyer and a friend of ours, in New York, going to look at how to structure the Nairobi Metropolitan Police. You ask yourself, these are operational aspects. What is Arthur Johnston Sakaja and Murkomen doing in Washington? These are things that should have been done by IG Kanja and his officers. And you can see how enmeshed politics and the fangs of the executive are with the police service. And we have reports here. We have the Ransley report, the latest being the Maraga report, consistently pointing at the rot in the police service. So Kanja does not feel the obligation to respect the law. His is to respect orders from above. Your listeners and viewers will probably remember, we had this, back then, we had this provincial police officer based in Kisumu. What was her name? Unfortunately, and she was a lady, who said that for them, they don't respect the Constitution and the law. All they know is orders from above and the standing orders. It shows you the mindset that for us, the Constitution and the laws emanating from the Constitution are mere suggestions. And this culture has been nurtured by the politicians. The police is there to protect our interests.
Okili raised something that is very critical then, because we talk about a police service that changed its name.
Yes.
Not the structure and how they operate.
Yes.
Then if you're talking about the Constitution 2010 that came with all these changes,
yes,
are the police protecting the law that they understand? Do they know what this Constitution demands of them? Or are they just blind to it because they have maintained the modus operandi as it was pre-Constitution 2010?
I can tell you that not all police officers are bad. We have some who are trying their level best to deliver in very difficult circumstances. And we applaud these good officers. Yeah. You saw the other day this OCS from Central, who exercised discretion as is required to exercise in law. What happened? He was now being harassed.
Yeah.
So we have those good officers who know. Our problem is up the top echelon. That is where the problem lies. And these ones are the ones who are beholden to politicians.
Okay.
They will frustrate their juniors because they need to appease and supplicate, satiate the demands of the politicians so that they enjoy the trappings that come with the office.
So, are we surprised then that in a case where the United States is in this current process, that they seem to ignore it as well? Because if there's such rampant disdain, I'm going to call it disdain, because you would embrace something that you actually respected. But there is such rampant disdain for the rule of law and constitutionalism within a country. Should you be surprised then that the US kind of puts it in the corner and says we're going to continue having the conversation? Because they've seen how you treat the Constitution in your country. And it wouldn't be far from them to say, well, you don't respect it anyway. Why should we?
Well, I am not surprised. And again, I will refer your readers to somebody called Professor Maesmeyer. And he writes about international relations from a geostrategic point of view. The Americans are here for their strategic interests.
Of course.
So if they find the fools that dot our landscape in the name of politicians who are willing and ready to advance their interest, why not? They will go along. Ours is to remind them of the touted universal values. We speak of the rule of law. We speak of constitutionalism. Today it is convenient for you because you need your Ebola issues addressed. But what will come tomorrow when people are mass murdered, when the country called Kenya is in chaos, and Kenya sits on the precipice? What will happen so that your interests that you so valuable that are so valuable to you and you continue to speak about every now so often are no longer guarded because the country is in fire?
But the courts in America are supreme. The courts in the US, when they pronounce themselves on particular issues, or not just particular, something as detailed as a horse cannot neigh in your neighborhood past midnight in a particular area.
Yeah.
The court has pronounced itself on something like that, and you go by it. This is how they operate.
Yes.
So you say that the interest trumps the inherent belief in constitutionalism, for example, at an external point.
And this is why I was quoting Maesmeyer. It's about interest. Their interests here are they need the Ebola crisis solved for them. Understand Trump. Trump has this mentality that he doesn't want people who are quote unquote diseased, weak, sick in his territory. Let them be dealt with. If they die outside the territory of the United States. We don't want them bringing that problem here closer to home. In Haiti, they wanted black Africans to solve an essentially black question.
Well, if we want to be serious, it's about a problem that they actually were creating in Haiti.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they always look for the house Negro to help them. And unfortunately, when you don't have principles, when you don't have respect for yourselves, you will readily avail yourself as the house Negro, like we have been parading ourselves to be.
Yeah.
We need to be serious because, for example, look at this Ebola question. Can Nduh arrive at JFK, have a simple cold, and be allowed in? You're from Africa, carrying an African passport.
All you have to do is carry a handkerchief.
Yes. You'll be quarantined. Heck, we are needed to carry ourselves insurance when we go to some of these countries.
Yes.
But how is it that we bend over 60 plus years after independence and allow our flag to be pissed on in the manner it was pissed on? It shows you that there's something fundamentally wrong with our politicians, because it only takes one case mishandled. And I saw the PS Health tell us that, we should be proud of our health systems, that others are so, what did he say? That our health systems are the envy of the rest of the world.
Yes, yes.
And I look at it and I say, boy, you need to be serious. Kenyatta does not have fundamental medicine and equipment.
Yeah.
Ebola in the middle of Mathare, or Korogosho, or Kawangware, and in Nairobi.
Could be like Hiroshima all over again.
Would be Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And because you want to appear like the paid parrot you are, you will now come and give us the usual spin, the usual Cambridge Analytica lies. Man, we're not stupid.
Wakili, where we are then, one must ask the question, until when? Because we will talk about the respect of court orders, because even the Constitution itself, which is the grand of orders there is not being respected anyway, you know.
Yes.
And here we are saying, what must then the judiciary or Kenyans do to see to it that orders of the court are respected? Are we seeing a point where these matters might go beyond these individuals being in office, where you disrespect the court order today, but we will wait for you once you're out of the trappings of power and deal with you then? Is that the way to go? Or then, is it important to have, or is it the ceiling of the highest political office in the land to lead in respecting court orders, and we'll see the rest follow?
We must nurture a culture of respect for the Constitution, and that is called constitutionalism.
Yes.
For nothing else but selfish reasons. If you look at major indices around the world, Freedom House, Chatham House, whatever, and these are indices that are usually used by investors and people who want to put in serious capital in countries around the world. They will go to countries where the rule of law and where their capital is assured in terms of the rule of law and how the law works. But when you are a country that is sending the message that law is just but a convenience, you begin the culture of sending away people who potentially will invest in your country. And for no other reason, and I will invite those who are sitting in policy offices and in serious offices in this country to listen. Look at some few years ago, Kenya and Kenyan politicians used to be very arrogant in how we dealt with the region. Heck, we had a minister here called Mungai who had the audacity to go in public and say about a neighboring country that, in their usual sycophancy, that President Moi, we thank you for ensuring that Kenyans are shining and that we are lustrous, not like our neighboring countries who we see walking around dressed in matambara being torn clothes.
Yeah.
That is the arrogance that we have always carried. But look at Kenya several years later. The hub that was the transport hub, JKIA, is basically a shred.
Yeah.
We are no longer the hub of the region. That has gone to Bole and wait for it, Rwanda, through the several airports it's building. Is going to take a huge chunk of Kenya's pie. Look at new jobs in terms of ICT. While we are doing our stupid things here, Kagame is modeling Rwanda as the regional Estonia. How many companies have fled to Uganda? How many Tanzania? How many countries have fled there? These are tied to the rule of law. So when you are perceived as corrupt, ineffective, and then you couple that up with the stupid things that these politicians and their overfed mandarins give us on TV and radio, I mean, you are basically ruining this country. The country that was the envy of the region is going to be a laughing stock, and we are playing catch up. We need to think. We don't need these half-wits and their army legions of quote-unquote paid bloggers on social media to tank this country.
You talk about the responsibility that the head of the judiciary has when it comes to insisting on certain things.
Yes.
But is it just her? And if it is, what does she need to do beyond coming out and being overt about the position that the country must take? Not maybe, not kind of. Because should we have heard, for example, when these court orders were given, or when this one has been given and it's not adhered to, when commissions have been established for certain things to come and they give reports and then they're not adhered to, when the Auditor General comes out and says, well, certain things need to happen, and that we're asking that investigative agencies take up a procedure to start to interrogate some of these things. Should we hear a more robust, overt judiciary when it comes to things that are going to come back to them anyway? Should we not? Should we hear it regularly? Should it not be that you should be speaking every day?
Certainly, the Chief Justice bears the responsibility as the political head of the judiciary. She needs to be firm. She needs to do what she must as the political head. These other judges are precluded from saying much beyond what they write. So the Chief Justice, primus inter pares, first among equals, must stand and defend her offices and orders given. She enjoys the position of sitting in a number of cross-cutting institutions such as the National Council for Administration of Justice. She sits among these politicians, and she must be consistent. If these politicians smell weakness and see that you are willing to play along with their machinations, that is what they will give and dish out to you. So she needs to be firm. In addition, we need to think of Project Kenya beyond these few years. We are running this country in a way that puzzles me every day. If we continue in this manner, and you've seen Kenya's future generation, it is very easy for children to burn their colleagues in dormitories. It's because what these kids are reading, they are reading license. They are reading the rot in the country. And that is why it is easy for them to go on strike because certain musicians were not on the menu for the entertainment functions. I mean, we went to school, me and you, in this country. When did we start striking because Sijui Calligraph Jones was not on the menu for an entertainment functions? It shows you how the country, the radar of the country, the health of the country is. And we need to have a national conversation. And this is tied to respect to institutions. You cannot have the courts saying this is the law. If you disagree with what the court is saying, go and appeal. We don't like what the court says sometimes. I am sometimes very frustrated. But you know that you need to appeal. You cannot have it that people like Rich here going to Dubai to frustrate court orders. Masengeli getting more than 6 opportunities to respect court orders and then being excused in a manner that me and you cannot be excused.
So what would happen on that particular day? I'm sorry, because here we are, we go around and round. Okay, like now this case that CEC Finance Nairobi County is suddenly not in Nairobi.
Yes.
And then we are saying, okay, well, we want to hear from the governor if indeed he actually did facilitate for him to suddenly go on a trip that needed attention in Dubai. Is it because he's in New York, or that he can't answer today? Why is it not a today issue?
Why should I give the governor? The contempt is personal. Why should I hear the governor on it? We have methods. Issue a warrant of arrest, go through Interpol, get this guy back to Nairobi and let him serve his sentence.
So why don't we hear a court, the court, by the way, that gave these orders? The court that found him in contempt. That said he should be arrested. It's been 2 weeks. Why is that? Why are we not hearing we have a journalist who goes and digs up the story and puts it out here.
Yes.
And then that's how we get more information about it. What happens to, where is the court that gave that order? They say they can't find him. Okay, fine. Then they know, everybody knows he's not around. Where do we hear the expression of the court here?
And the question is, why is that court
silent?
Why is it silent? Why is it, for the lack of a better term, pussyfooting? Why are you trying to develop water in your belly? For heck, you're a lawyer, first and foremost. Then you're a judicial officer. Yeah?
Okay, we live in a country where there's a time the court gave an order and they were told they will be revisited.
Yes.
2017, you know.
Yes.
And we also know of cases where court officials security have been stripped from them simply because they made certain pronouncements that the leadership was not happy about that. How do such actions beat the overall goal of having constitutionalism entrenched in the society that is Kenya?
Do what you must. Those are the things that these politicians and the executive do. They'll be sorted out. And we have partners and friends out there who called out the executive when they withdrew security. From the DCJ then. When those we will revisit arguments were made. And surprisingly, the gentleman who made the we will revisit argument was back before court when his son's gun story emerged. People forget that today you have the power and you can do whatever you want, including threatening judicial officers. But tomorrow you'll need these same courts. Let the system work using neutral principles. Judicial officers must do what you are required to do by law. Every other thing, let the chess pieces fall where they fall. There are other people who will deal with them. But you as a judicial officer, I have sentenced Kerich.
Right. The court and the judge that gave these conservatory orders for the stoppage of this process of the quarantine facility. What power then do they have? Because it is very clear that the United States and I guess Kenya executive are hell-bent on continuing with this, ignoring this court process. I don't know if somebody's being spoken to. I don't know if they're having a meeting later to say, okay, well, can we ease up on this? What would their position be when you very well see that the orders that you've given then are not being adhered to? What would be the next action from them?
Well, in terms of the authority, I don't use the word power. We need to remind these people that they are subservient to the Constitution. Authority. Look at Article 165 as read with Article 23 of the Constitution. That is where the High Court sitting as Constitutional and Human Rights Division draw its authority from. The court was properly within its mandate to issue those injunctive orders, the conservatory orders, because everything, tutti, as the Italians say, everything, anything done in the name of the Republic of Kenya is subject of review and scrutiny by the judiciary. Now, what do they do when their orders have been defied? That is where the Chief Justice comes in.
Okay.
That is where the Chief Justice comes in. And the Chief Justice must be firm to say, and of course by extension my President Charles Kanjama, that we have court orders in existence. It will not be business as usual. And I've told you that even to drastic extent, if this habit continues, we will down our tools. We are not going to process anything. We will not hear anybody from the government until and unless you respect court orders. Because the reverse is true. Because when we continue dealing with them and they defy court orders, tomorrow a man from Kibera or Karibangi will say, why is it me that I'm being hunted for this simple chicken offense and wakubwa kule juu are not being held to the same standards? I will lose trust in the court. I will develop a taste for the machete as means for resolving disputes. So the court, the judiciary, parliament, I'm not excusing that. I hear some people call it an holy house. I'm not excusing them. They are part of the cog that is supposed to nurture and defend democracy. They need also to come in and say, we need to keep this law and this edifice called law working. Because when it collapses, nobody will be spared. Not your property, not your children, not your relatives. And we have seen Kenya totter on the brink a couple of times. Those are warning signs.
I mean, we need examples. So, for example, Kerichi now comes back and appears in court. The court has already made an order. You're supposed to serve time.
Yes.
And if the individual appears in court, only two options: either you serve time or you appeal the orders that were given. Right?
Yes.
But we need to see an insistence from the court that I already made my order and you ought to respect that. Like in the case of Masengeli, he was given six opportunities to appear. I know for a fact Aseto would not be given a second opinion to appear. So it can't appear then that the court as well is seen to be favoring other Kenyans as opposed to just being the equal arbiter of everything that comes before them, you reckon?
I agree with you, and I will give you, we have very firm judges on the bench. We have, and these politicians know who to play and dance around with. You remember when CJ Maraga was around, or CJ Mutunga? They knew you're not going to mess around. We have Justice Chacha Mwita, Justice Nyakundi. The judges were known. You'll not play around and expect to be excused. So even the individual judicial officers must know that. Why is it that these people find it easy to just play games around with orders that are issued? The Chief Justice must ask, why is it that even external actors find it fashionable to, during my tenure, to consistently show the middle finger to the judiciary? You need to be firm. If it was Justice Ogada, and probably that is why I may not get to the bench, there's some nonsense that cannot be brooked around me. I will issue my orders, and if need be, kanuke. I will be firm on those orders, because that is the oath. And the judicial officer has two oaths on him or her. You have your oath as a lawyer, and you have an oath as a judicial officer. You need to be serious about those oaths.
So where do you see things going? Because there seems to be such a toss-up at the moment in terms of who's going to do what and then who needs to bell the cat. But then where do you see things going? Because it does seem a little bit discouraging at the moment.
The courage of principle. One of my favorite jurists from Africa, Justice Digang Moseneke, DCJ, former DCJ South Africa, speaks of the courage of principle. When you stand on the mountain of principle, you are safe. So judges, lawyers stand on principle. That is how to rescue the country. That is the starting point. Two, the political leadership. And by political leadership, I include the Chief Justice in that category, need to know that there is so much at stake that will be lost if we don't firm our foundations on the rule of law. Today, we are tottering on the edge. Tomorrow, it might be as well that Kenyans will decide to go the Haiti way. They will lose faith in institutions, in the judiciary. They will go onto the street. Kenyans individually, and I like it that social media has become a ground for very meaningful conversation. Kenyans, continue holding your leaders to account. Continue doing what is right. When it comes to elections, look at who is standing for what is right, what is principled. If they are not doing the correct thing, you know what to do. Vote them out. If we don't, and I tell my countrymen this, if we don't think about the future of this country, the telltale signs are there. We are falling behind. We are engaged in a cacophony here, a lot of noise, a lot of thievery happening in this country. this country is going down the drain. And when we couple that with lawlessness, their demise will be sooner than later. Unfortunately, I am today the prophet of doom, and that is what is staring at us.
What's the worst that could happen if you had a judicial officer who then insisted on certain things according to the law? What's the worst that could happen? Because it seems as though folks might be a little bit afraid of actually doing what the law says.
The question is, why are you afraid?
Exactly.
As an individual, Nduh, you have nothing to be afraid of. You're not taking bribes. You're not being fed by any politician. You have no favors to dole out. You do your work as known by the law. Why should you be afraid? Because those who are afraid, they need to tell us, why am I afraid? Why am I spineless? Why am I afraid?
It was behind the fear.
What is behind the fear? Because, and Chief Justice Mutunga has written this in his book, the Beacons book. He gives an account of, was it the Beacons or he gave it in some speech, where some money was sent to his account, wired to his account, some hefty amount of money. And his bank alerted him to that. He immediately ordered for that money to
go back to where
it came from, and he reported. The same with Maraga. So those are people who knew the shenanigans that go behind the scenes, and they knew that they had to be as clean and pristine as the proverbial Caesar's wife. That is why they were able to stand on the firm mountain of principle. These ones who are afraid of doing the right thing, they should tell us, why is it that I'm afraid? If you're afraid, you have no business being a lawyer, number one. You have no business being a judicial officer. Go and do other things, but not the business of law.
Yeah. I mean, time is running off, but this is also a clarion call to Kenyans as well, because we look at the political class, but we are the ones who vote them, who elect them in. We elect individuals who already have cases in court. So it's therefore upon us, if we want things to be good, we can't be out of the question. We must look at people we put in.
Oh, yes. And the virtues of citizenship. Who is a citizen? Because I see people going for, the other day, my father's home county of Kisumu, some young men were out on the street mourning that they were only given 450 shillings. Why would you take 450 shillings to be the agent of violence and instructions for a politician? You are cheapening your value because that 450 will probably buy you something very cheap.
Yes.
Not even 2 meals in a day.
2 pizza.
Yeah. And when you become that agent, when you cheapen yourself that way, that's what these politicians smell in you. And we have some of the most decrepit, most stupid people in our political scene. People who cannot tell left or right. We need to think as a country.
Justice Thursday conversation today also goes from what is the situation to what it can and should be. Wakili Evans Ogada has been here with us this morning. Thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning on Justice Thursday.
Thank you.
It's a hope for a better time.
Looking
forward to the next conversation. Good morning, folks. It's 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Maranda High School in Siaya County will reopen this weekend for Form 4 students after an indefinite closure following unrest at the institution. In a directive issued by Chief Principal Edwin Namachanja and the Board of Management, students will be readmitted in phases on June 5th and 6th. All learners are required to report by 10 a.m. accompanied by a parent or guardian. The school has also set conditions for re-entry requiring parents to clear any outstanding fee balances and pay a damage restitution fee of 2,600 195 shillings per student before admission. Meanwhile, the administration has announced a support package for 192 Form 4 students from the Owino B dormitory, which was extensively damaged during the unrest. The school will provide replacement uniforms, excluding games, attire, as well as shoes, mattresses, blankets, and bedsheets. Parents of the affected students will only be required to provide personal hygiene items and replacement metal boxes where necessary. Former LSK President Faith Odhiambo has urged the government to provide clear answers on the controversial Ebola-related facility planned for Laikipia County. In a statement, Odhiambo questioned the legal basis of the project and warned against disregarding a High Court order that suspended its implementation. She said transparency, public participation, and respect for the rule of law must guide all government actions. Her remarks come as Health Cabinet Secretary Aidan Duale told Parliament that Kenya has received 1,000 Ebola personal protective equipment kits from the WHO to boost preparedness measures. The kits are being deployed to major referral hospitals and high-risk points of entry across the country. Concerns continue to be raised over a reported partnership between the Kenyan and United States governments to establish an Ebola quarantine facility in Laikipia County. Speaking at a public event in Nyamira, UPA, National Chairman Nyambenga Gisesa questioned the project, claiming it could put Kenyans at risk of exposure to the disease. Gisesa, who is also the Rigoma ward representative, accused President William Ruto of advancing the initiative without sufficient public participation.
Hii mambo ya kutuletea Ebola ama quarantine Kenya bila kujulisha watu wa locals si mzuri. It's time that the president involves the people. Kama hiyo kitu Ebola kunakuwa na better public participation katika nchi ya Kenya.
His remarks come amid reports by some international media outlets that Ebola experts and equipment from the United States have arrived in the country to begin construction of the facility. Stakeholders in the country's fishing sector have raised concerns over the risk of Ebola spreading into the country, citing what they describe as inadequate measures to prevent the disease's entry. Speaking to journalists, the chairman of the Beach Management Unit Network, Tom Guda, said fishermen remain vulnerable because they frequently interact with counterparts from Ebola-affected countries, including Uganda.
The visa for corporate in a very congested area. We are in this particular beach and you can see the kind of trade that's going on and the kind of closeness that you can witness. So visa for community operate in very congested areas. Ebola is known to be a disease of close contact. It spreads very fast in close contact. It's highly infectious and deadly. And therefore hitting one person in this community, then the entire community will be phased out or will get infected. And that's why we are concerned that so far we have not seen serious deliberate efforts by the government of Kenya to ensure that the lake borders, which are highly porous, are protected.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
He himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament, so...
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said...
The government.
Yeah, when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo, ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock, and our conversations continue this morning. And it's been a loaded morning, and this last conversation is probably going to be a little bit more loaded than that as well. But it is necessary for us to talk about things because the school unrest, the death that we see, the underlying issues, a lot more. We're going to get into it this morning. But even before we do that, yes, Dennis, please remind us that there's a way in which we can secure generational wealth.
Yes. And now I just want to talk to summer bunnies, Kenyans who are living abroad, supporting their families here. Britam whole life is telling you, you can come in, we can hold your hand and tell you how to go about it to a point where these will outlive you and even the ones that you are supporting. How do you do that? By sending the name Life and the town you're in to 21778 or alternatively call or send a WhatsApp to 0705 100 100. But what is it that you get from there? You're able to leap a pole from a period of say 10, 15, 20 years, and you're able to get between 5 million and 100 million shillings depending on how much you're saving. But aside from that as well, your loved ones are able to receive immediate tax-free support from an individual who has been in the game for over 60 years, 6 decades in the game. What else are you looking for? Because remember, when you talk about legacy and you leaving the world, it is not a question of if, it is when.
Absolutely.
But the second question is, what will you have done with the services or the resources that the one who's called you God gave you?
Absolutely. So when I need to get in touch with somebody, I send a message with my name and town to with town life and town to 21778.
Yes.
Or I call on WhatsApp or send a message to 0705 100 100.
You're a good student.
Thank you very much.
You're a good student.
Give me my A's, I'll take them. All right. So we're getting into the conversation this morning about school unrest. Reportedly, officially, 12 schools have been closed so far. We don't know what Thursday is going to hold. What is behind the tension? Boaz Waroko is the policy advisor for the Elimu Bora Working Group and joins us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning. Boaz, good morning.
Good morning, Nduh, and good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Now things will go on well.
It would be our hope that we would have this discussion under better circumstances, but we are met with what we are met with, and we're going to have to talk about it and at least bring some of these issues to the fore. But before we do that, Dennis is in Ghana this week. We'd love to hear your interpretation of the project.
The proverb today we get from Ghana is the rain wets the leopard but never washes off its spots. How would you interpret it?
The rain wets the leopard but never washes off its spots.
Yes.
I would take that to mean, the sport's character and the nature of the leopard. And the rain basically is just, it's a natural thing just to clean, wash off dust and not necessarily to change the character. Based on what we are witnessing here, is a situation where, unfortunately, we are having problem after the problem, and this thing did not even make people to change their behavior.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is where we are.
Yeah. Right.
Unfortunately, that's where we are. Sorry. And this phone can just be
somewhere over there.
Yes, it is on mute. Yes, thank you. So, basically, that's what I would put across. But let me tell you, it is not a nice morning because we are still mourning the loss of 16 beautiful girls. 2 years after we lost 21 beautiful young boys. And it appears that the pattern is repeating itself and nobody cares. First, condolences to the families that lost these young ones. And to the teachers, I know they are really under pressure because there are many things happening. We just wish them well. We wish that the situation could be contained. But whatever the circumstances, we should stop these preventable deaths.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting that that's the adjective that you use, that these deaths are preventable, because a girl in the school a couple of days ago said very publicly that most of the girls who died in that room would be alive today if certain things had happened.
True.
If that cube was not just a place that was boxed up by wood, if there were fire extinguishers, and if there were windows, that it would have been easier, or those girls would not be dead. That is what she said. She was in the dorm.
True.
And this is coming from a student who you would imagine doesn't have, the where-to-fors about the structure and all of that. But it was clear in her mind.
Very clear.
So you also say that it was preventable.
These are preventable deaths.
So it makes it a little bit more painful that we shouldn't be mourning in this manner, that there's something could have been done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to elongate this just a little bit more, bear with me. That between 1994 and 2016, there have been 5 committees that have been established to find out the reason behind school unrest in the second term.
Yeah.
Every one of these committees, the results mirroring the others, have said some fundamental things. It should be of interest for us to note that none of the recommendations for action from these committees have been established in the country. Does that worry you a little bit?
It is a worry, and as from where you started, just know that these children are also human beings with God-given instinct and knowledge and understanding on how things should be done. And it is always the nature of a person, first, to defend self in terms of fighting back or fleeing. You know that.
Yes.
So when that girl spoke the way she did, it's something she could see. And so that then brings us down to these things are so basic that you don't even need to go to any manual to know what rightful things should be done. But I'm not saying because we do not have the instruments are there. Even if you had not taken time to go through the instruments of safety in schools, instinctively, there's a way in which one would respond to such situations. But let's go to where you started. And Nduh, it was 1991, not 94.
91, actually, yes, you were correct.
Yes.
91.
So, because that is, you are talking about St. Kizito.
Yes.
And then all this, we've been losing lives each and every moment. And the moment the task forces were formed, including the Changuli one, is where a bishop was now put in charge and said, probably you guys are just looking at the technical aspects. Can we also bring somebody who would help us even look at the spiritual angle to some of these counseling issues and all? And then what happened, I think I've looked at the Bombolulu report, I've looked at the Shangule report. I keep reminding somebody when you are doing this analysis that look at the recommendations here and the recommendations here. They are so similar. The differences we are seeing are the name in school. And the year. And then the number of the casualties. And life goes on. And it took Kenya so long for us to have the school safety manual in 2018. But even after 2018, nothing changes. Documents in place, practice as we know it. No wonder it's to them the fallback position is tumezoea kufanya namna hii. And that's why when these girls are dying in rooms that should have been condemned before even being allowed or put in those places, then you must start asking the right question. Who should be accountable for all these missteps, for all these gaps? Because as of now, the codification of what should have been done, the protocols, the rules, the safety standards are there in documented form. That's what the codification I'm talking about. But who enforces this? It is the ministry that should be enforcing. The chief officer in charge is the cabinet secretary, Migos Ogamba. The first media briefing and after analysis and after we had sent a team down there, we said this guy should just go home and do other businesses. He's not interested, he's not invested, he's not keen on helping the school environment, because these things, the pattern is repeating itself so similarly, like what just happened under his watch 2 years ago at the Darasha school, Hillside Academy. And you're saying, when it happens like that, repeatedly the same pattern and nothing serious is even being done, you will realize that these people are not keen on saving the situation. I'll give you examples. Okay. That structure was accommodating almost more than 100% of its capacity, so congestion. But that structure was also built after these safety standards had been gazetted, and yet they do not comply, they do not meet those standards. You find the grills, for example, on the windows, which should not be there. Those are specified within the safety standards and the protocols. That the doors that should be there at both ends and then in the middle, they should be at least 5 meters wide, but also opening out. None was in that state. In fact, one of them was locked from outside. You start wondering what's happening. That those safety standards would require that the matron, in case of girls, and the patron, in case of the boys, was resident near there, because these are children. That was not happening there. That there should be smoke detectors, these fire extinguishers, all these gadgets which would help the young ones to know how to escape, and that these are students who should have now been more well drilled and socialized, just to know that in case of a fire, in case of anything, how do you escape? We doubt whether those drills have been carried out, because if they had been, at least some better responses would have gone in there. So that begs the question then, is if we are still over-congesting these spaces, which are also poorly constructed against the safety standards, then what are we talking about? There's somebody sleeping here who does not know the right, the actual duty that they should be doing. And that takes me to sections 28 of the Basic Education Act. The responsibility to ensure that our children are in school. One, that they are safe when they are in school, whether day school or boarding. That's why I don't like those who are now trying to mix up things here. Whether day or boarding, that they are in school, that is responsibility number one, that when they are in school, they are safe.
Yeah.
And number three, that when they are in school, they are being taught material of quality. So quality education.
Yeah.
Those three parameters, those are the first fundamental responsibility of the cabinet secretary in charge of education, Migos Ogamba. Is he doing that?
Hold. Boaz, the Education Act explicitly mentions the CS education.
Yes. Section 28, that's what I'm saying. It is the only act which has even prescribed a job description for the CS Act. For the CS. These other acts I've not checked in detail, but the Basic Education Act, Section 28, gives the job description of the CS.
So what we are saying here is that if safety has not been guaranteed, if quality education has not been guaranteed,
if children are still out there,
and are not in school,
2.5 million currently as per the 2025 statistics.
If they're out there and they're not in school,
then
what
is this guy doing?
The CS education has failed in his duty.
He's asleep.
So on those three parameters alone,
he should go home.
The CS should not be there.
We should not be having Ogamba as the CS. In fact, the honorable thing, I don't know why he's also still hanging in there, and he knows he's unable to do the job. Because I think there are many Kenyans who can do that job, but also he's appointing authority. He's also asleep. Maybe he's the one telling him, poa tu makelele yote itaisha, or something like that. But we are losing lives. Let me take you to Ndarasha.
Okay.
2 years ago, when this Utumishi incident happened, the parents of Ndarasha who lost their children, 21 of them, they sent a message, because we are on the wall, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Elimubora, we are supporting them on 3 cases. One is a constitutional petition, and then there's a civil case, because we demand that some justice should be done.
Yeah.
I know nothing can really compensate you over the loss of a child, but some justice should be done. As that was going on, then we realized that the government initiated an inquest to determine what really was the cause of the deaths there. And to date, that inquest has not been concluded. And as we are speaking now, first let me be very clear on something. When the government initiated that inquest, it was on their own volition. They did not even consult the parents. It took the Kenya Human Rights Commission and the Limubora to search for these parents and ensure that they join that inquest process. And when they joined, as we are speaking, the government, through its agencies, are struggling to pull these parents one by one, promising certain negotiations outside there. And so this tells us specifically that there's actually no interest, and they're playing petty politics with serious matters where lives have been lost. And we have called this out, that it should not continue being in that manner. So I'm telling you that right now, those parents, some of the messages that phone I was just to open, you'll find they are horrified. Some are saying that the Utumishi incident is actually opening wounds that have refused to heal, because they know that no investigation will really unearth the cause and assign responsibility on the people who really were derelict in executing their duties.
Boz, when you look at education in the country and how fundamental it is to the people of Kenya, one asks the question, if we look at the failures that do exist today, the cabinet secretary has not ensured that the students can access affordable, quality, secure education today.
Free and compulsory basic education.
Because here we are talking about education. Capitation has not gotten into these schools, Every other time here we're making noise because capitation has not gotten into schools. Here we're talking about code in setting up these classes.
that as well is not up to standard. Are we serious when it comes to education that we're giving to the children of the Republic? Because even the task forces that have been there since 1991, nothing has been done about it. Yet we see how repetitive these matters are. Is education in this country a factor that is being embedded into people's hearts as something that must be delivered to the children of the country?
Thank you, Dennis. Public education is on its own. Because these people who are in charge of the public education have established private institutions. And indeed, many of their children and their grandchildren are elsewhere. They are not in this institution. That's why that callous manner with which they approach these issues, and that's why they do not care whatever happens. What you're saying is very true, because, Dennis, this is one country which is being studied by many other countries. In fact, benchmarking is done in Kenya a lot, particularly on the policy and legal instruments pertaining to education. This is one country which even the partners out there, including the Global Partnership for Education, are so happy to keep on giving money, grant, and even you're aware that through the World Bank, also some loans are being given to support education. Because for them, when Kenya talks reform, they know that certain things are going on because the instruments that is shared with them. When you share a constitution, that right from the outset tells you about the right to education, Article 43, that the Article 53, free and compulsory basic education, which is not codified in those other countries. Here we have. And then they start looking at, the Basic Education Act, similar principles embedded there. The Children's Act, similar principles, including the best interest of the child. And then they start looking at, then how do they operationalize these, including the guidelines, the ministerial regulations, the basic education regulations, which were gazetted shortly after the 2013 enactment of the law. What happens is that these documents are so good, but they're just paper. They just remain there. The practice is different. I'll give you then an example. You've seen within our constitution, we have codified how Teacher Service Commission should be the one that recruits teachers. They recruit teachers from a register of qualified teachers. What have you seen happening?
Politicians handing out.
One, the qualified teachers that they recruit, then they call them interns. The court tells them no, they still insist. That's contrary to that. You see MPs giving employment letters there. Whose responsibility is that? TSC. So, in other words, all that is good on paper, the practice is completely at variance. And this happens, by the way, I'll put it here, point blank, that it's the State House that orchestrates the TSC's maladministration and disorganization the way it does. It is the State House that takes the employment letters and now gives to the MPs that are aligned to them, so that now they buy political favor. It is the one that is disrupting institutional integrity of constitutional offices, constitutional commissions, and because of that, I think that's why nobody cares to do anything right. And maybe let me take you ahead. When these younger ones, I say they have some, some intellect within them, that intuition that helps them to recognize what is wrong and what is right. They also see these things.
They do.
When they see, that is how they learn. They have probably learned that in Kenya, if you go the right way, you not get it right. They've probably seen that because they have seen in Kenya the meritocracy and the aspect of this one is somebody who is qualified and meets the credentials that requires to be appointed. They see that person is being overlooked. I'll put a number of things in this bag. These children are in school, and back at home, they have siblings. Some graduates, no employment, but they know some who have no papers, but have already gotten jobs and have gone to River Road to get the fake things. They know that. So when they come and start wondering, they say, oh, this is how Kenya is. So they have also started to copy and to act in this particular manner. So for it to be gotten right, we don't just have to get the instruments right, but we also have to get the value system correctly. But even the value system, Nduh and Dennis, you know, the value system, you go to our constitution and the Article 10, the national values and principles of governance. Everything that is stated there is so clear, but what is being done then is also outside. I mean,
so it sounds like a people problem.
It is a leadership problem, I think, and the people are just getting frustrated. And then if it is a leadership problem, it is a failure in leadership, failure to ensure that systems work, because if everybody knows that systems will work, nobody would try to avoid it. Dennis, in the year 2003, January, after Kibaki winning overwhelmingly in 2002 election, the Kenyans, the people were with the leadership, and they backed that leadership up. In fact, prior to that, it was a normal thing to find the police asking for bribes along the way. Yeah. But immediately after Kibaki was sworn in, people arrested these crude officers. And by the way, the officers who take bribes are not many. There are just a few elements along. People arrested them and said, never again will you do this. In other words, when the leadership sets the tone, people will follow. When you set the right tone, what happened? It is only after Anglo-leasing landed. And people said, oh, we are arresting and really torturing these junior officers here, and you people are planning to steal millions. The Anglo-leasing scandal, which where the big guns and people we thought really meant well for this country, where when you talk of them, integrity comes closer, accountability comes closer, transparency comes closer. That is when Ndugu John Githongo unveiled and told us the massive rot that was happening in there. And Kenyans say, whoa, back again to where we started from. So it is a leadership which must be fixed. And I think we have to be also very honest here. At times, Kenyans also give themselves such mediocre leaderships.
Okay.
They do, because let me tell you, Nduh, I don't have to ask you which faith and all that. I'm Christian, of course, based on that. So the Bible is very close to me. But if I get a pastor who has been brought to my church, and the first thing the pastor, this is a pastor who said, Biblia ni bure kabisa, don't trust it at all. The first thing is that I will not listen to what that pastor says. But in Kenya here is where the person who actually led in trashing the constitution, you say, no, you are good enough. You can also lead this country. And not just that, we are giving you the oath that you will uphold, defend, protect, fulfill this constitution. Who is fooling who is fooling the other one here? It is you who are giving people responsibilities that they cannot shoulder. And when now it starts cracking, then you wonder what really happened. I think Kenyans should also be taking responsibility on some of this, but having given them a mandate, they must also pile pressure
and here
for
we
these
are.
Guys to act appropriately.
So school unrest is an issue, and these committees had to deal with the issue of school unrest over the last 30 years. And that it was an issue 30 years ago. Changoli boys, we looking at, so many things that happened over time. And here we are again in 2026 dealing with the same issue, where now girls have been taken to court. They are being held for the next 21 days at the children's center, whatever this is called.
They're not being remanded.
They're being remanded now, right, in Naivasha. But the question is that there's investigations that are being done. Whilst that is happening, 12 schools officially have been reported to have closed because there was some kerfuffle overnight. And they wake up in the morning and school administrations have said, we don't want this situation to happen, so how about everybody go home until things die down? But I have a problem with that because we're still not addressing the issue. I gave an example. We can be angry at one another and then we can decide to walk away and then we can say, well, let the anger cool and then we come back. But we've not dealt with the issue. We haven't dealt with the issue. Children may come back to school after a week, 2 weeks, whatever. You might decide, okay, let's come back and do midterms. But have we dealt with the issues?
Not.
School unrest now is what we are talking about. School unrest led to 16 girls dying. School unrest led to a number of things happening. The inquest still goes on for the Nduh fire, so we don't know the cause of that. But school unrest has been a problem. What is the problem and how do we deal with it? These schools that are closing today, national schools, sub-county schools, extra county schools, they're all closing today.
Let me tell you, the only button these people are pressing within the safety standards and protocols is that of closing the school to avert a strike. Because that is also part of the safety standards. But that should be coming as a last resort. And even when that is happening, that's why you'll find the director, the county level, getting involved, consulted before such actions are done. Because if, as a teacher, you had that information and you knew that such a thing is likely to happen, and these are children, you don't know what has really triggered it, it's gone beyond what you can control, then it is allowed within those safety standards to invoke that. How come that is the only one that they know? It is like a pilot of a plane that only remembers even a small thing is already ejected himself and left everything. That is not a good pilot. So back to where that question comes. Because when the Utumishi Academy, Utumishi Girls High School situation happened, of course, these children, let me tell you, they've had this information. Even those in boarding schools, they've had. This is information now in the public knowledge. And indeed, maybe many of them have also been going through a lot of stressful moments as we speak. I've told you, I think I've mentioned the cases of congestion in the halls of residence. You can even think of meals and issues. Actually, there are some parents, we speak a lot with parents. There are some parents whose children are at home, and they said the reason why they were disquiet, there was a lot of disquiet in their school and unhappiness, is these people raised school fees. And the justification they were making, they were making justification that for them to afford good food, because the food rations was low and even the quality was poor. So the administration and the BOM, they consulted and said, okay, it will be, your parents have to cough a little bit more. So when they received this money, they said the ratio remained the same, but even quality became poorer. These are young ones. They are observing this. So then they start asking themselves, so why was even the raise in the school fees? So these are some of the things. Whatever we do, we think we are the adults who are responsible, and all. These young ones are listening, they are watching. And also, these people are also listening and watching how our political leadership is misbehaving. Using terminologies and calling one another all kinds of disrespectful. What makes you think that these young ones in school cannot attempt such, and they even become disrespectful to
it's
their
a little bit
order?
more. It's a lot more than disrespectful, Boaz, because we saw if the CCTV footage is anything to go by, there was a deliberate attempt to take life. Look at what we saw, because I can understand if the quality of food is poor, but that's why we're saying we're dealing with layers of issues here, because these girls, like you say, they knew that there was no escape. There was no escape for these girls where they lit this fire.
The information that is there, I think first the CCTV thing, we've been in contestation on that because, digital surveillance has got also its rules and protocols. Among those include the fact that you cannot install them in the bedrooms and dormitories, particularly those for the girls and boys, those are their bedrooms. Two, that you can also not install them in the bathrooms and in the toilets. And so I suspect, this is my personal view, not even Elimobora, not even Kenya Human Rights Commission, because I know those within the consultation we've agreed on have bought that CCTV trash. I call it, this is similar to Endarasha, where they'll be taking you through a tunnel, and then finally they tell you they're unable to establish what caused this. And then when now you are taking legal action, then they say, now let us initiate an inquest to help us unravel what really happened.
This you think people are being taken on a wild goose chase here?
I think so. I've said so. And you've realized that I've taken that as now my personal position. Because I know there are people who still think that those guys are doing serious investigation. My understanding is that whenever these things happen, what the government does, and they are very creative in doing it, is basically to try and see how can we deflect the rage and the anger of the public, deflect it from us and direct it somewhere else. They do that so that they buy time. By the time these things will unravel and you realize, oh, nothing has really happened. If this government was serious, would be having people in jail concerning the Endarasha Hillside Academy thing.
Boss.
That is where serious top-level investigators went there with forensic investigate. Then they come and tell you, we are unable. What kind of rubbish is that? So when I saw, for me, that footage, the first thing I said, these guys are being very creative. No, let me tell you, I think we have to be very honest here.
Let's do it.
What do we, when you install CCTV, it means you have a higher level of surveillance in an institution. And the back end is always where in the monitor room. You can imagine this watchman, male or even female, watching how our girls, the nakedness of our girls in their bedroom and when they are going to the bathroom and all. I don't think that is happening. These are made up. That is my personal opinion. And I think for as long as this government keeps on taking us on wild goose chase, they can cook up things. This is the country Nduh. That those investigators, at one point they told us there's a minister who actually took himself to a forest, shot himself, and after shooting himself, struck a matchbox, actually poured fuel on himself, struck a matchbox and burnt himself. These are same investigation system that we have, because they have also not been put to account. So they can concoct, they can create, they can bring up anything. And this trash called CCTV in our girls' bedroom, away with it. That is not how you deal with the matters. But even if those girls are still suspects, I don't condemn those girls. And these are children. I doubt whether there's a single child who leaves their home that I'm going to kill others. It doesn't happen. Even if that happened and they initiated a fire process within the dormitory, the safety and standard protocols would have allowed us to nip that fire in the bud and save the situation. Where were the matrons? How come the doors could not open? How come the grills were there? They could jump out. You would get serious burns, yes, but they'll be out. So whatever happens, whether it is an emergency caused by external intrusion of something from external forces or internal, the standards allow for a process that would ensure that these children remain safe.
Our education system for a very long time has been the kind of students are there to be seen, not to be heard. Where am I going with this? There's an example that Nduh gave the other day. In our homes with our children, we do not feed them food with weevils. That when they go to school and they see food with weevils, is abnormal.
It is.
And they will want to raise that up. But in an institution where you're only there to be seen or heard, that would be a bone of contention.
Yes.
We talk about corporal punishment that still exists, though it's illegal. It does exist in our schools today. We talk about capitation that has not gone into school, food rations has gone down, and we see the trouble that children as well are struggling even with books.
Yeah.
Books, yet exams are being set. How are these things contributing to the problems that we are seeing today? And does that then take the blame squarely to the door of the duty bearers, those who have been given the mandate to look after education and ensure that our children are safe, that our children get quality education, and that nothing is left to chance?
I think you've scoped it very well. And in fact, we cannot run away from the aspect of investment in the schools through capitation and other sources. And indeed, the delays that we are seeing, and even when those resources are land, they land, the small bits, in small bits. The ministry is the one that will sit with teachers and tell them how we'll use the 50-30-20 formula. That's 50%, 30%, 50% in term 1, 30% in term 2, 20% in term 3. And that this money will ensure it arrives before the schools open for each term so that you use them. Those ones are words uttered and the circulars issued. When that happens, you'll find that monies are being... The earliest that funds were released like this year, before the term 1 opened.
Yes.
They released when the previous year had lots of deficits.
Yeah.
And indeed, there were pending bills. So even these administrators start wondering, how do we deal with the pending bills? But the ministry tells you, no. What we are giving you is for term 1. So you see where the administrators also have a problem. And this is information that also reaches the students. So they start also wondering. So the school planning system is also not effective because of those kind of inconsistencies from the side of the government who should be remitting this. But also in terms of the dialogue and consultation within the school system. Do you know that the Basic Education Act and the Children's Act actually gave voice to the children? And the children are the primary stakeholders in the school. So it gave voice to the children, but of course the parents would have always had a say in school. The teachers have always had a say. And then the team or the representative of the CS in school, which is the BOM, Board of Management, has a bigger say always in school. But you'll find that in a number of times, I think because the student's voice should be harnessed through the legitimately, could we say elected? Because some schools, they're supposed to be actually electing their presidents or their officials. But then you'll find that a little bit more of manipulation takes place in that case. And if the students themselves do not respect the channel through which their voices are taken up, then they'll resist. I mean, I don't know whether to mention, you saw the interview of the Lenana student who said to Lingoja mpaka the prefects had gone for their trip, ndio tukapanga. It's because they did not trust the leadership of the students that is there, because they feel those are people who have been appointed by the admin and they are only parroting what the administration wants. So you require to create that kind of a space where these learners can genuinely see that their voices matter, the issues they raise. They could be raising them without some experience or a practical orientation to solutions that they are looking for. That is where then you explain to them and they get to understand that in as much as you'd have wished that from day 1 to day last chicken kila siku, that from day first to day last, that tea with a lot of milk, with bread, buttered, jam and everything, that this one is not practical within this, even back at home, in as much as you could be coming from a family that probably may afford that, this one is also not consistent. Such negotiations discussions and consensus with students really would help a lot more. But also, it is not just on the welfare and welfare alone where this failure is. Even on the academics. Nduh, as we speak now, I think there's a time we had here a situation where teachers were giving us feedback, teachers in teaching grade 10, that you see now the learners who have come, we've realized that they have really not gotten the knowledge they should have gotten in junior school. We are trying to bring them up to that level so that we start the grade 10 subject. That means a lot of pressure on these learners. That pressure because you are trying to help them go to the basics so that now they start the program of the grade 10. Then they start wondering, so what were we doing there? Why did we spend all the 3 years without being taught the right material, being brought to the level that is required? So all these things are factors that cause the kind of disquiet. And
sorry, boss, but do we also see that it is very possible that there are children in school who actually, for whatever reason, would actually want to cause harm to another student, and that we are not looking at that issue? The truth of the matter is that somebody sets these fires. You told us a few minutes ago that children in school are intelligent. There is an application of intellect.
Yes.
So you also know that if you strike a match to a mattress where there is no outlet, it will burn, and that people will be injured and that they will die. You know this. So when you're doing this, because this fire was set inside.
It was set inside, and the
people who slept inside there were these children. So is there not an element here where we also must pay attention to that there's nobody in this cog who goes free here? Whether we talk about pressure, teachers, whether we talk about capitation not coming, whether we talk about the students themselves and whatever behavior, parents also play a role here, because we're going to ask ourselves what's happening. Whether they're in school, we know school, teachers in locus parenti, but that at some point these children will go home.
Nduh, what you're saying is actually right, but I still go to my default position that I doubt whether there's a student who leaves home that I'm going to kill others. But
it may not be your intent when you leave the house, but there could be something that could be cultivated in you that you decide to strike that match while in school, boys.
It's true. I'll come to that because Kupet as a delegation also went down, and one thing which was new, which Kupet came up with, the leadership of Kupet through the chairman, Okoh Milemba, he said they reached out and discussed, they found these teachers there, and one thing that they realized is that there's a student who somehow had been chased from another school. You can't expel a student nowadays. You can only suspend them or change centers for where they are going to study. That they realized that one of the students whom there is now being seen as a ringleader had actually been sent from that school and with a recommendation that should not be allowed to be in a boarding school because had such tendencies. And yet that is a student that the ministry should have been monitoring this, should have ensured then that that is nipped in the bud. But do where you're saying, a mattress, even if you have how many mattresses put in here, and you start that fire, people are asleep. Instinctively, I started by saying the human reaction and response is to escape, to defend themselves, and that. For it to reach a level where we are losing the 16 within this area, it means it has become worse. It means everything around here is not conducive even for escape. And so even those who are coming to put out the fire cannot access that. These are you could be having 2 or 3 bad eggs. By the way, they are not many.
That's all you need.
They are not many. And that's why the systems where they operate, they'll be able to identify and isolate those bad eggs, and they'll be able to neutralize that. But also a response mechanism that can quickly come and rescue. Because ordinarily, the fire began, let's use the Utumishi case, the fire began at midnight. It's only at 3:30 a.m. 3.5 hours later is when the first response coming from outside. Here, Utumishi, which is a police, public police institution, so to say, surrounded by the military bases there, the kind of surveillance that is done around there. How negligent can the society and those agencies also be that you are not able to respond in time? And when a fire begins at night, Nduh, it must be visible a little bit more. So somehow, we should also not be thrown to a case where we are blaming everybody. I think we start with who is a primary responsible person to ensure that standards in the school are kept, and who should be monitoring to ensure that you do not deviate from that position, so that the school administration, through the BOM, through the Committee of Safety, which is within the school, which continuously also appraises updates these young ones on what is happening, and new techniques, if any, fire drills where the assembly points, such things, so that it is always in their mind. The same way we pray before a meal, that this thing is always in their mind. They know, before you do this, I'm alert. In case of this, there's alert, that they see sensors, that they can see buttons where they can press for alarm, that those things are in place. That in case they know it is going to be difficult, you can break the window. We've traveled. Many Kenyans have traveled. When you're shown that, okay, this is an emergency door and you can break it and go out, that's a part of the safety. So in these schools where these are requirements, which none of them has been installed, and then you start starting to look for where the culprits are, I think we should start with the primary culprits and responsibility holders. Right at the school, the BOM and the head of the institution, that is the principal. Then you come to the Directorate of Education that was in charge of observing or looking at the quality and standards of the school. Then you come to the CS, and it is the CS who should actually be activating all this system to ensure things are working there. When that is not being done, then I think we'll always just be running left and right without focusing on the right thing. So as for me, I think the first heads that should have rolled should have been the CS, followed by SPS, basic education. After that, it should have also now come to the school. Where were these officers who should have been near and responsible, because they are the caregivers? They were absent. So they are absent. That is the nature of things, that they're supposed to be there, but then they are constantly absent, because if this thing happens once and that is when you find they are absent, probably they are absent forever. So dereliction of duty should be assigned to those who had the primary responsibility to prevent this kind of mayhem and the deaths. And it is unfortunate that we are losing quite too many. And Nduh, I'll go to in Russia, you saw the CS doing this firefighting, chasing after the fire, instead of preventing these fires. That after that, he sent his officers to go and check some institutions, and quickly they came back with a list of some schools. But even before the Russia case could be done, they cleared that school to be reopened. Yep. Only that they say now the boarding side should be closed. Yes. But they did not get to the depth of the matter. Our own DCI, when they did the investigation, filing in court and coming to a conclusion that they cannot establish. These things are offensive, that when they go, instead of investigating, they are only looking to destroy the evidence or to bury it completely. So what are we doing in that case?
So that's the question that we probably end this conversation on this morning, because that we can close schools, kids can go home, learners can go home for 2 weeks, but we are not addressing dealing with the issues. And we cannot, Boaz, be silent until these issues are addressed and dealt with. Because more children will die, more of these tragedies will happen. And again, if I'm going to join the doomsday sayers, then that's the case. Because if we don't handle the issue, we will have more tragedies like this. And if we don't want them, then we handle the issue.
Unfortunately, because we keep on handling them so casually, so everybody knows, hiyo itaisha tu. I've given you a statement, paraphrase a statement from one of the Njeri parents 2 years later. They said, unfortunately, just a new cast, it's the same script, and these people will not get justice, even as we are still waiting. We don't even know what happened.
It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Yeah. Impunity at its peak.
It's tough.
The heads must roll. If the president can't act, if CS Ogamba cannot leave, I think Kenyans have got a responsibility to go and demand for justice in their offices there.
We don't know how many more schools are going to close. We don't know what news we're going to get today and then going into the next couple of days, but it looks like it's a trend, and it's one for us to watch. It's a minute past 8 o'clock. Past 10, I beg your pardon. Boaz Waroko is a policy advisor for the Elimu Bora Working Group. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
Thank you.
Asante sana, everybody. It's been a heavy day. It's been lots of conversations, but we must have them. Good morning. It's a minute past 10.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Umaga. Former Attorney General Justin Muturi has criticized Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale's assertion that public participation is not required in the planned establishment of an Ebola quarantine facility at Laikipia Air Base. Muturi argued that Kenyans have a constitutional right to information and meaningful engagement on matters affecting their health and safety, adding that public confidence in health policies can only be achieved through transparency and accountability. His remarks followed Duale's defense of the project before Parliament, where he maintained that urgent public health interventions do not require public consultation and stressed the government's responsibility to protect citizens